It's the intro to Bread and Wine by Rome from the Rhodesia album, in case you're curious. The lyrics would be too distracting, so I have to cut it off there. But that's the prelude, as they say in music. So as I mentioned, I'm doing 2 streams a week now. So this is the second stream of the week. I did the first one on Tuesday. This one will be the exact same stream except in Spanish. So if you don't speak Spanish, or if you already saw the first stream, you can tune out now. I know there's so much happening now, and I can ramble for so long about nothing at this point. As a learned skill of mine, that I can split it in 2 now. I can split it in 2 and try to time it for the Americans and for the Europeans. Might fuck up my sleep schedule a little bit, but that's okay. I'm so used to going to bed at midnight, or before midnight even, like at 11 p.m., 10 p.m. And now I have to stay up a little bit, at least on Tuesdays. But it's a sacrifice for my audience, my listening audience, that I am willing to make. Oh, by the way, first thing I want to point out is that YouTube has added some new emojis for Pride Month. So my favorite is if you want to just click the emoji keyboard thing, my favorite is the sassy black lady pride painted nails and the Pooner black lady. The Pooner black lady is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. The art for this is absolutely atrocious. They are all so unappealing. It's actually stunning because it's in that Globo Homo art style. So if I can get big Pooners in chat, this will be the YouTube equivalent for Pog, because it is kind of like a Pog face, but it's a black lesbian F to him. So every time something amazing happens, I can get some. I want to see some Poons in the chat, and I also, if I'm being particularly sassy, you have my permission to do the sassy nails emoji as well, and we're gonna make the use out of the tools that Neil Mohan, not Susan Wojcicki anymore, Neil Mohan has given us. So I want to see some big Poons up in chat. Okay, so first thing first, I want to start off with an apology. I was wrong. Start the news segment, but I was wrong. Not about any of this. The USDA is still evil. Stop leaving me comments saying, Josh, they just want to make sure that there's not rat shit in your meat. Oh, they're stopping mad cow. Fuck off. I don't care. I was wrong to uncritically. This is like the second time, by the way. Ollie London also rushed to put out I think it was Ollie London rushed to put out the news that, sorry, I forgot to switch it. Rushed to put out the news that Nick Fuentes and whatever had parted ways, and then was like categorically denied by everyone. He also uncritically retweeted this, saying that the Arc de Triomphe in Paris had been taken over with a huge LGBT construction, which I made a joke about. And then he even showed the source of this and said, here's the original post by the LGBT org behind the installation, still acting as if this is real. He does not correct it. There is no information here that this is fucking fake. And I actually went to the source. I found this, but this is the rest of his profile. These are obviously demonstrably fake. They're just 3D renders that he posts for certain events, for artistic reasons, but then also like for causes. So Ollie London, I need to stop trusting this guy, because I also featured his fucking claim that Nick Fuentes did something that he didn't. And now I've showed this in my stream and said that this was real, and it's not. So I look like a dipshit. But I will never trust this fucking Ollie London guy again. The second time is my fault for sure. Pisses me off. Sorry about that. Fake news. I got fact checked. I actually looked for the source of this because I wanted to show somebody, and then when I looked it up, I found like all the fact checking articles saying this did not actually happen. I was like, oh, okay. And then of course I don't trust those when I see that shit, so I tried to find the source, and I found this account. I'm like, oh, this is fake. Because the even the Snopes fact checker people didn't link to his profile for whatever reason. They just said it was fake without any evidence themselves. It's like, okay, I guess it's up to me to figure out where the fuck this comes from. Anyways, so if you're a fan of big robots, you probably have heard about BattleTech, and someone linked me this and asked me to talk about it briefly. Sent me an email actually, and what he says is that, let me make sure I got this right real quick. I have it written down. So Okay, for instance, they've been slowly like pausing their politics over years. One of the things that they did is they removed a mech called the Rommel main battle tank for Nazi connotations after being in the game for 35 years. However, while Rommel is like famous enough that retard trannies would like know that that he was a Nazi general, even though Rommel was extremely apolitical, and after the war, I think the Allies like gushed over him and how he fought and how clean his combat was, and there was absolutely no reason. I think that Hitler even had him. Yeah, Hitler had him kill himself because he wasn't loyal enough to the party. That's what happened. He like tried to back like an assassination plot or some shit. So even though Rommel had the cleanest hands of anyone in World War II, they had to get rid of him because he's famous enough that they know that he fought for the Wehrmacht for World War II. However, they did not know that the tank's named after Steiner, as in Steiner's counterattack will bring that under control from the fucking downfall meme. And Kurita also have Nazi connotations, but they're not famous enough to be removed from the game. Anyways, that's an aside. There was this is a claim from the guy. I asked him for clarification. He has not responded in time for me to proof, but he claims that tranny terrorists sent death threats to the boomers that write the BattleTech stuff over political stuff, to the point where someone was convicted of terrorism in association with this game. I do not know if that's true. That is what he claims. It could be false. And now that I have to watch myself, I cannot be wrong 2 streams in a row. Big pogs in chat. So apparently, okay, so here's what happened. This fanzine came out. This here's the cover of this. I'm not gonna read this fucking article. This is the cover that they put out. There was, of course, big angriness on the internet. There was a BattleTech subreddit that's been around for 15 years, and there was so much controversial discussion about this that the actual BattleTech people made their own official r/BattleTech to get away from the controversy, so that they could just ban absolutely everyone. Then they cracked down on the guy that owned the first BattleTech subreddit, and now any discussion about this fanzine is completely banned. Your post will be deleted. You'll be banned from the subreddit. And now the BattleTech company is satisfied with that moderation standard and are consolidating the 2 subreddits again. And this is what the person wanted me to talk about, is that yet another niche interest for hobbyist big G gamers has been co-opted by trannies for no reason whatsoever. Very sad to see. Thankfully, they've cut off their penises and they live in pain, so we don't have to feel too bad about it. Disney, and it's okay. First of all, I don't understand the live action shit from Disney. I think all of those movies suck. I really don't know what they're going for. I don't know why they never try to make an original thing ever anymore. I mean, I guess Pixar made Encanto. But even like, I think the one before that was Moana, and that was like a decade ago by now. So they don't make anything new anymore. They just keep shitting out these overpriced live actions that don't even make any money, and I really don't know what the fuck the point is. This isn't Disney. Is this not by Pixar? How to Train Your Dragon. Okay, let me look this up, because I'm being fact checked live on air. How to Tame Your Dragon is by DreamWorks. Is DreamWorks not owned by? It was owned by Paramount. Okay, so I know what's happening here then. Paramount Pictures is retarded, and they just see that Disney is doing these live action remakes, and they're thinking we should do them too because Disney is doing them. Okay, never mind. I've clarified why they're doing this. Obviously, it doesn't make any sense. How to Tame Your Dragon is very cute. The dragons are like dogs. You can't really replicate that in live action, but they're going to do it anyways, and they're going to cast a black woman as the Swedish Viking, or Vidking, for whatever fucking reason. So this right here is now this. And let's not forget, there is nothing Scandinavian. And if you disagree with this,
we're no better
than our Viking ancestors.
So let's rein it in with all that racism and intolerance. Actually, I rewatched this video because I remember I need to get that clip of the black guy going, we was no better than our Viking ancestors. And I didn't realize how degrading and demoralizing this whole advertisement was. Just listen to like the first 30 seconds.
What is truly Scandinavian?
Yeah, these?
Absolutely nothing.
Nada.
Niente.
There is no such thing.
Everything is copied. Our
Vi
democracy,
människor som tillsammans formar framtiden.
credit goes to Greece. Parental leave,
Thank you, Switzerland.
the iconic Scandinavian windmills were actually invented in Persia. And we made the German bicycle a staple of our cities.
Very funny. Imagine, so Sweden's not like, okay, it's, I say like imagine being British because it's funny how terrible the British are. But like, at least it's funny because they deserve it, and there's no redeeming qualities about the British. However, it's kind of hard to hate on Sweden. Like, what has Sweden done to make you hate them? It's just kind of sad and pitiful. Like, oh, imagine being Swedish. Ugh. Makes your skin crawl. Very sad. That's that. Now, chat. Nature is healing. I read this report. I came across this on accident. Someone actually, right before the stream, someone sent a message saying, Twitch streaming is dying. Nature is healing. I'm thinking, what the fuck makes you say that? So I dug into it. It was because of the Reddit evaluation. Last stream I mentioned that Reddit's evaluation had been cut by 41%, a very interesting number by Fidelity. They're one of their investors. And he said, Reddit's dying, Twitch is dying, nature's healing. And I looked it up. And apparently, this is from Esquire Middle East. So I don't know why Esquire Middle East is writing about Twitch dying. I guess they find it funny. I guess because there's so many Saudi Arabian princes dumping loads of cash on their favorite cam whores and thoughts on Twitch. That is the most interested market for news about Twitch. But here we have an Asian woman who has turned herself into a Diglett, so that in wasting a ton of mulch, perfectly good mulch, in the process. Because apparently Twitch streamers are desperate for views now, and the whole thing is dying off, and it's not particularly clear why. This debate, by the way, was started by a man named Autistics, saying viewership across the board on Twitch is plummeting, and people are getting desperate. Top streamers that would hit 75,000 viewers consistently are now averaging slightly above 10,000. You're seeing less and less successful VTuber debuts. Society is healing. Oh, he has a Chud avatar. Most hated sweetie pilled gamer Chud online. Love poster. Nice voice haver. Streamer ish. Interesting. I didn't even notice that. Anyways, the interesting part is down here. So who's correct? Well, he's correct that streaming numbers are up overall. It's possible that both parties are right. If you look at closely at the numbers, it's clear that the number of channels has grown far more than viewership, which means that while more people are using the site, they're divided by more channels, meaning that while people are using the platform overall, individual streamers are having a hard time keeping the viewerships they once did. So Twitch growth, average concurrent, this information contradicts what the opening paragraph is saying. There are over 2.47 million, 2,470,000 viewers, which is down from almost 2.8 million in 2021. But meanwhile, there's almost 100,000 channels that are active at any given time, and there was more than 100,000 channels at any given time in 2021. And then I guess the number of broadcasters is, that's crazy though. Like in a month, there are more than 7 million streamers on Twitch that try to start a channel live. And there was almost 8.5 million people trying to stream on Twitch in 2021. I guess at the onset of COVID. So now that COVID is over, That's probably what it is that there were more people cooped up who needed like parasocial stimulation, so they went onto Twitch. And now that COVID's over, those people are just leaving again. And you had this glut of people who briefly had success on the platform as a streamer, suddenly losing like all their, like this woman probably had tens of thousands of men who would throw money at her because, oh my God, she's a woman on the internet and she's so goofy and silly, just like my anime women. And now they're outside touching grass, and she has to pretend to be Diglett to keep the remaining attention of the people who haven't left as a result. So that's funny. That's why they're suffering, I guess. Being turned into a Diglett is not the worst thing to happen to Asian women. In Washington, a Korean woman's spa is forced to erase biological women from policy after a human rights complaint from this lovely woman that looks like Christian. Havin Vilfish complained to the Washington State Human Rights Commission, which I guess is just the HRT of Canada in Washington State. Imagine living in one of these fucking states. Complained that they were denied access to a spa in 2020, and after a couple years of litigation, Olympus Spa can no longer say that this beautiful individual cannot access. Can I get a big pooner in chat? Can I get some Yas Queen fingernail polishing for this epic win for the LGBTQIAP+ alliance in Washington State? And I don't know. I like at this point, I just like seeing this misery spread as much as possible, because I know it's like a rubber band, and the more that it's stretched to breaking, the harder it's going to snap. But I do kind of feel like these people are going to move out of Washington and move to other states and just completely ruin the U.S. forever. But then again, I don't know. I say people, I tell people I don't even vote. I don't even bother to mail in my ballots anymore. So, how much can I even complain? Maybe they'll learn. Who knows? Other true news. This is from yesterday. Fox News reports that a transgender activist did the needful and fatally stabbed her father inside multi-million-dollar Virginia Beach mansion, says the cops. Police refer to the suspect as Michael Nora Horowitz, a biological man who is transitioning to a woman. So this dude, enabled by his lovely parents into becoming a troon, has decided to take it upon themselves to murder their enabling parents. They're from Portland, I guess. What is the business? A Virginia dentist who was allegedly murdered by his transgender daughter during a fight over the weekend, police said. Abby Horowitz, 68, suffered multiple stab wounds after 9 a.m. in their $2.1 million Virginia Beach home and was pronounced dead. Horowitz's daughter, a biological man in the process of transitioning to a woman, was arrested and charged with second-degree murder and stabbing in the commission of a felony. The police report used the pronoun she. There was no motive given apparently. Nora is named as Michael in her slain father's page on his dentistry's practice site. So he might have been misgendered. So maybe the parents weren't enabling. It's hard to say. The police are keeping the details from us. Nora's dad, who his patients knew as Abby, has been a dentist for more than 40 years. Is he also a troon? What the fuck is happening in this? Can you be... Wait, that's the last name, right? No, Dr. Abby... Is that a man's name? Chat, help me. I'm dying midstream. How is this man named Abby? I can't... Horowitz. Okay, chat seems happy with the happenings going on in this article. It's a man's name. Okay. It's a man name. Whatever, I'm done with this. It is funny to see, though. The violence will continue until morale improves. And meanwhile, as all this is going on, Rome is burning. The seat of the gluttonous American. Well, I guess now it's L.A. It's no longer New York City. But if you are in New York, apparently the air quality in New York City is now so bad that you cannot breathe. The entire world, the entire city of New York, put under the knee of Canada. Canada's sitting up there, just kneeing on New York, on the Empire State, making it so that nobody can breathe. Just suffering abjectly. Greta, by the way, Greta Thunberg came out and said that this is no, I was thinking of the dam. Greta Thunberg came out and said that the dam breaking in Russia was ecocide that Putin had committed. I guess this is also ecocide perpetuated by the Canadians at the expense of good, hardworking people in New York City. Reminder, though.
God hates
Canada.
land of the sodomite damned. The fag-infested land of
Canada
is burning. The fire of God's wrath is sending hundreds of those filthy
Canadian
beasts straight to hell. We at Westboro Baptist Church are rejoicing, and we are praying for the dear Lord to burn many more
Canadian
alive.
I thought of this while I was putting this together, and I decided I would take a little look at what the Westboro Baptist Church had been up to, because you don't really hear much more about them. That pastor, Fred Phelps, is dead, and the church is now in the hands of his daughter, who is like a very, very famous constitutional attorney. Their whole family is very interesting. They're from Kansas. I think they have a place in Florida now, but their entire family is like a collection of constitutional attorneys, and they are routinely up in the Supreme Court fighting for freedom of speech. They're very, very interesting, and they seem to be like trolls, lawsuit trolls, where they provoke people into infringing their rights or assaulting them physically, and then they sue them for millions of dollars, and that's how they finance their protests and stuff. It's really interesting, actually. But I looked up what they're up to, and their velocity has decreased quite a bit. Here's a sign that I liked. God hates you. I believe that this is one of their weirdest ones. It does not have any Bible verses on it. Almost all their signs have a Bible verse that explains where they're drawing this conclusion from. This one is the only one that I saw that did not have a Bible verse on it. However, I think that what they're saying is that Valentine's Day is idol worship, and that's why it's Valentine's Day themed. However, if God hates you is not persuasive enough, there is, for the Ben Shapiro intellectuals watching, God hates your feelings. So God, if you don't find God hates you very persuasive, God hates your feelings as well. God hates whores. This one's updated for OnlyFans now. Now that we have more available prostitution, they've decided to break this one now. God hates whores. God hates trannies, of course, staying trendy, staying. Surprised you really don't hear more about the Westboro Baptist Church. However, I think that the media policy now is just to ignore them, or maybe Shirley Phelps is just less active. I think their church broke apart a little bit, so they don't have as much manpower. I like this one the most. God won't change your chromosomes on half of the Troon flag, citing Genesis 1:27. I actually want to know what that says. Genesis 1:27. God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female. He created them. Okay, that's what they're referencing. I like this one a lot. ADL Jew bullies. They have a very strange relationship with Jews. They make fun of shit like the ADL, and they call Jews apostates. However, they have another sign that says 144,000 Jews will repent on the final days of earth. So if you ever see a bunch of Jews converting to Christianity, it's the end times. Actually, don't we have Milo Yiannopoulos and Laura Loomer? Is this the end times? Are they a part of the 144,000? Is it already beginning, chat? Are the prophecies of Revelation upon us? Repent, sinner, the end is nigh. Rabbis rape boys. I feel like even saying this on YouTube is going to get my stream like automatically detected by some hate speech detector and deleted. So we're just gonna move right along to one to piss everybody off. Jesus Christ, King of the Jews. There's a little bit something for everyone there. And a final sign that you may find interesting, that I think will probably alienate the remaining audience. If you haven't found a reason to be pissed off at the Westboro Baptist Church from what I've displayed so far, racism is a sin. I looked up the verses. I was curious. The first one says that favoritism is a sin. You cannot, using the example of rich and poor, you cannot hold one person in higher dignity than the other. I didn't read too much into it. I was just kind of curious what they were citing. You dabbed on chat. So many people saying base. Now look at you. You can't be racist anymore. God says not to be. God says nothing, I don't think. I could be wrong. I haven't really read the Bible all the way through. About sending trannies ashwagandha root instead of HRT. This is a scandal that I was alerted to at the last second. There is a new alternative that was sprung up as a replacement to the DIY HRT directory that Keffels promoted and sent illegal hormone supplements to children for Bitcoin in Canada and was never punished for it in any way, shape, or form. This was set up, and they were sending something called ashwagandha root to trannies. And from what I understand, ashwagandha root is a herbal supplement which naturally promotes testosterone in people. So I suppose here's a fun fact. I think, I could be wrong, I don't want to misquote government regulation again and get yelled at by people. I'm pretty sure that the supplement industry is like extremely unregulated. Every time they've tried to regulate supplements in the United States, it's just been a fucking disaster. I think I read somewhere once that when the FDA tried to regulate supplements, there was a media campaign to get people to call their Congress people and senators to try and protest the regulation. And in the couple of weeks that they were trying to push this regulation, senators and Congress people got more calls, more complaints about the issue than they did protesting the entire Vietnam War over the entire duration of the war. So people in the United States are very, very get off my medication type situation type deal. And so if you want to bottle what you call ashwagandha root, and there's at least 1% ashwagandha root inside your supplement, you're completely free without any sort of license to sell this to whomever you want on the internet. So they apparently set up this industry and started saying this is a great thing to make you more of a small bean, uwu. Parentheses, these statements were not endorsed by the FDA or any regulation. And then people bought it because, like, I'll show you. This part right here. Regarding the Astrolab scam, you can report them to the FTC for deceptive advertising via false reviews. The page states these reviews were collected through a judge.me, a website that filters blah, blah, blah. And then it warns the Femboy Tummy Pills page has pornography in the reviews section uncensored. Don't scroll into the section. So literally, the genius who set this up took a natural herb that promotes testosterone, claimed it would give you a femboy tummy, and then used femboy hentai to sell it to trannies, who then took it and achieved male pattern baldness as a result of their hormone imbalance. And this is probably completely legal because of how supplements are regulated in the United States. But I'll read the reviews here. Jalen says they're branding ashwagandha as HRT. This is actually really bad for trans women because ashwagandha actually increases testosterone production. This is a scam and attempt to take advantage of a marginalized community. The main ingredient increases DHT production, which causes male pattern baldness. From TERFs aren't women. And then says, I'm going to throw up. I know people who bought these pills and now have testosterone levels which are higher. This is genocide. Very shocking display. The group of people who medicate themselves by buying random shit off the internet, advertises femboy tummy pills, are suffering as a consequence of their life choices. Musant VTuber, oh god, warns PSA the fake HRT can kill you. Ashwagandha, the primary active ingredient in the fake HRT sold by Astrolabs, has been found to cause serotonin syndrome in doses as low as 600 milligrams. The dose of ashwagandha recommended by Astrolabs is 200 or 2,400, taken twice a day. So that's 4 times what was stated. Note that the symptoms of serotonin syndrome can vary from relatively mild, faster heart rate, high blood pressure, to extremely dangerous hyperpyrexia, seizures, depending on severity. The risk was even greater if you're taking SSRIs, the most common form of antidepressants. So if you are a troon, you're probably on SSRIs, basically guaranteed, which has complications when you take ashwagandha root. Keep in mind that many of the alkaloids in ashwagandha are fat soluble and take time to build up in the body. It is highly recommended to taper off ashwagandha if any of the above symptoms are present, even the more mild ones. This is a severe risk, should not be taken lightly, aside from the risk of inputting your personal information to an incredibly sketchy website, assuming everything is legitimate as they say it is. People could get sick, people could get hurt, people could die. Please make sure to keep watch for stuff like this. Ops like this are very likely to become more common as transphobia becomes more rampant. If you actually want hormones that will work for you and don't kill you, check out DIY HRT, which I assume is either competing, because it's .wiki, is either competing with HRT.DIY, because Keffels was involved, they went to make their own or something. Community, blah, blah, blah. That looks like the same logo as the HRT DIY before, so it probably is the same thing. It's just under new management, because it was open source. And then it... Shit. Sorry, I fucked something up. Give me a sec. It says here, Astrolabs is the turf scam. So they're blaming the turfs. It apparently stole pictures from our trans timelines to make fake reviews. The image of the founder of the site is AI generated. The account's Twitter handle is known to be that of a transphobic account that recently deleted all their past tweets. Do not interact with the site. Do not give them your address. Do not buy any of their projects. Buy real estradiol from real reputable suppliers on DIYHRT.cafe. Third website, I guess. They've taken down the hormone listing and replaced it with "Oops, all testosterone shirt," as well as saying, "Did our gas station HRT pill give you male pattern baldness?" This shows that they were fully aware that their pills actually increase T instead of E. I wouldn't believe their negative intentionally brought them, forced them to take it down, but I suspect that this was their plan all along. The whole thing is an anti-DIY scare. Stay vigilant, everyone. And now it's down. It's more base than I could have possibly even imagined. I'm gonna post some pride person earth intersex cheer emojis in chat to represent my happiness. It is pretty genius, especially because it's ashwagandha. It's like not like dangerous, just increases testosterone naturally. Also getting dubbed on, this woman named Isabel Riley Moody announced that she is 21 weeks pregnant. Congratulations. And trannies could never. Pinky, the geriatric femboy, says trans men can and do get pregnant. Machinist says, is laying down and spreading her legs a competitive sport nowadays. Cute Tape says, girl, clean that sweatshirt. Don't teach your kids not to only be transphobic but also dirty. And don't let your roots get done. And get your roots done, you look like a mess. To be honest, people like you make me happy. I can't get pregnant. I'd rather never give birth than push out a mistake like you. Maybe if you listen to trans women, you'd learn how to apply mascara. That fallout is messy, girl. I don't think it keeps them up at night, but they sure do bother you. Why do these type of women have the most bland, boomerish makeup ever? Do they move on from Barbie branded makeup? I mean, when you're a real woman, you don't have to like wear a bunch of clown makeup to look like a woman, I imagine. I love it. They're so easy to piss off. You just have to remind them every time you will never be a woman, and they will jump out at you. Good stuff. Now, I have a very important lesson for everybody. This is an old video, but I find that its information is practical, viable, informative, and well presented even to this day. And since it is Pride Month, and I know that at least half of you are gender non-conforming, this information may be viable to you. This is how to cough like a woman.
there, it's your girl, Z, from transvoicelessons.com.
Get that in.
And then you just put that in front of a cough. Do you hear it? Yeah, it doesn't matter how I cough. If the attack of it sounds cute and feminine, then the rest of the cough will be rendered in a way that sounds cute and feminine to the ear, because the brain weighs the attack of a sound so heavily. Okay? So here's a simple way that you can start doing this. First, let's just take a very high-pitched kind of sound and just go eh, 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 eh. Now, then do that and then cough very gently after it. Eh, eh, eh. And then slowly work on decreasing the time between the two so that the sounds are one. Now that was a bit over exaggerated, of course, right? Like I'm not going to be coughing like that in person. But even with just the softest amount of alteration to the attack of a cough, you can quickly...
That laugh that he did reminds me so much of May. She's really unfortunate. Okay, let's put it into practice, chat. I'm a dumb slut. I'm just a hoe to be fucked. Wow, it's like I'm actually a woman. I can't believe how effective this program is. Thank you. Trans voice lessons. Really incredible stuff. Ack, I'm a hole. Ack. All right. Now, get ready. This is some real content. This is this down the pipe. I saw it. I looked into it. Be warned, children. I have gone out of my way to censor this. It wasn't like graphic to begin with. It's kind of, it's weird and it's really uncomfortable, but it's not like super graphic. It's just extremely uncomfortable. I'll put it like that. Now let's get some pride nail emojis in chat if you are a fan of SCP. SCP has been a weird thing. It's like a super autistic like fanfic. Basically, they created this world where it's a it's a repository of just like spooky short stories, and they kind of themed them around this idea that there is like a I don't know how you would describe it, like a Ghostbusters jail where they have to maintain these things that really can't be destroyed. And the spooky stories are just like reports from staff that work at the facility, and they have to deal with the spooky monsters that are contained. And they describe what they do and how they operate and the supernatural elements. And it was very popular. I remember it being very popular for a long time. And then it became very paused because obviously something like that is going to be extremely autistic, and autistic people are churns now. So it's been co-opted by retards, and at some point, but despite its popularity, there was going to be animations, and there was a series called I think Contained. Let me get this right. Hold up. Confinement by a man named Lord Bung. He has had a Patreon. Don't mind the website. Our drama is extremely fabulous, and they're not afraid to let everyone know. I think if I click, it makes a fart noise. Oh, I don't get a fart noise. Maybe because I'm using Firefox now. But basically, they released this series, and it's just like an animation centered around the SCP stories and such. They've released 7 episodes, and then since 2019, Lord Bung has been working on episode 8. During this time, he's opened a Patreon. So this was the beginning of the Patreon when he was making episodes. Then in 2019, he starts preparing for episode 8. And he consistently, on average, is making about $4.30 per Patreon. And so you can probably guesstimate that at his peak, he was making about $2,400 a month. If you calculate it out, since 2019, based on his subscriber count, he's probably made over $100,000. Someone asked in chat, is he gay? No, worse, he's a troon now. He's become a lordess. What's the word of, like, the female word for a lord? He goes by Lord Bung still, but he claims to be a woman now. He has an entire team of like animators and voice actors and shit. and Lady Bung. Okay. He claims that his ass is broken, and that's why progress on Confinement episode 8 was slow. There is a video of him explaining that his ass is broken. However, if I go to the SCP page and click this video to see the video about his ass being broken, you can see that he has actually gone into DFE mode, and I cannot find the video about his ass being broken anywhere. Actually, let me check one more time. I do have the SCP thread open on the Kiwi Farms, and I asked for this video. We will see if the Kiwi Farms was able to provide a copy in the last few minutes, and I don't think that they have been able to. Okay, that's fine. We can go on without it. I don't know what his ass being broken means, but you can use your imagination, and I will move on. So, at some certain point, he announced in the Reddit thread that it's over. I think that there was a YouTube video, or it's a Patreon post saying that he is going to be stepping down. He's closed his Patreon and he's done. But there is a link to a Google Drive video that, or Google Drive page that had all the files for episodes 1 through 7, and then also a leak from chapter 1 of episode 8. And it's a music video. It's about 4 minutes long, so we got about 4 minutes of video done in 3 years, more than 3 years. And it is softcore pornography, fetish pornography for exposure and like casual sex. I think that it's that the people involved all claim that even though it seems like sexual harassment, like if someone made this without telling people, it would definitely constitute sexual harassment. But I think that all the people involved are also troons, because in the animation they look all fucking weird and gender fluid and shit. So I think everyone involved is like a gross weirdo, and they were okay with it. But it's extremely uncomfortable to watch. I have taken some screen caps and blurred out like it's all implied, but I blocked it out anyways to make it safe for YouTube and for my audience. It's a music video to this song, and I'll play just a little bit of it.
Don't worry about God, baby. He's got a plan, it's true.
It's called 6 Feet by Zelinki. It is actually an original soundtrack that was made in 2019 and released to YouTube. So he actually had composition and music ready to go for this thing, and he only completed like the weird sex video for this. So let us begin. I have some only a couple screen caps. I'll guide you through it. He basically, if you look at his avatar, that's the main character that I'm describing. He has like a missing eye in the video, and he starts off by getting a jetpack and flying into like a skyscraper building, which I guess is like the SCP office building. He's naked and he is pressed up against the glass like this. And there's like lots of blushing, like anime style blushing, like, oh my god, a penis, and then nosebleed, spit out, a big blush. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's a penis. Then from here, he slides off this building and lands down. And then, oh my god, there's more blushing, and it's so diverse. I think these are all self-inserts of the different people working on the project. And then he gets away from these people who are staring at him naked, and he puts on a belt that supposedly should make him invisible, but I don't think that it does. The way he puts on this belt is the most awkward, uncomfortable thing ever, and this is dead set why it's a fetish thing. You like see it from this angle. There's like the belt of Adonis, and there's also like the very beginning of the penis where it like inserts into the pelvis, and it's like a weird point of view. It's extremely uncomfortable to watch, and I'm forced to assume that this is Lord Bung's fetish, and he put this in here deliberately to make people uncomfortable. We are 1 minute and 30 seconds into a 4 minute long video. At some point, he breaks into the facility, I guess using his invisibility belt, and he attacks a guard who is urinating. There's a fight, and they dock, and oops. Big blush, so embarrassing. Our penis and balls are touching as we fight. How uncomfortable. We are 1 minute 49 seconds into the fight. Then running away from the bathroom, he slips on some lube and slides on one foot, and whoops, he's accidentally penetrated this woman who's doing this weird pose in a naked yoga room that I guess that they do in the SCP offices. We are 2 minutes into this video. He then runs away after having accidental sex with this weird shaved head Native American woman in the naked yoga room. And whoops, he slips on soap into the intersex co-ed showers, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, look at his dongus! Isn't this embarrassing?" And then we're 2.5 minutes in. There is about a full minute of convenient censorship, implied sex and nudity that results in like a mass orgy between all the people in the co-ed shower. There is one woman who manages to avoid being molested. She escapes to the ceiling of the facility and crawls along the vents like a sloth would on a branch of a tree. However, the main character escapes to like a laundry room and sits on the laundromat. Then she falls off of the vent she is on and accidentally impales herself on his penis, and then accidentally starts the washing machine, and the washing machine stimulates sex for them. And that's it. That is $100,000 of content to masturbate this troon who has a very obvious fetish for like accidental sex and like mingling and exposure. And after truding out and breaking his ass, he just gives up and says, "I got what I wanted out of this. I have my consent accident footage. I'm done. Bye-bye." And supposedly all the people involved in this are okay with it. But I imagine if they were not okay with it, they would not have the ability to say so anyways. It says, "I stopped my Patreon a few weeks back. If you want to download my videos, do it now because I'm going to delete this channel in a day or two." And he already has. He gave it literally like a day before everyone started making fun of him, and he retired. So money well spent, I guess. What's weird is that like troons are good as like autistic wage slaves when you like put them into a room and force them to code, but the moment they get the reins of anything creative, it's like a fucking disaster. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is about their brains, but I guess they're just like super porn sick and they don't know how to make entertainment without it being hypersexual and weird and creepy like that. Yeah, it's autism. It's true. But I don't know. Autists can make. I mean, Chris made Sonichu, the pinnacle of human creativity. So you can't say that autists aren't creative. Just like the Fallout mod, something like that. The Midwit IQ, maybe. They cannot create. They can only destroy. It's true. It's true. That's right. That's right, chat. Okay, now here's the thing. I haven't had the time to actually. Oh, I meant to hide this while I was setting it up, but you all got jump scared by Tammy Slayton. Maybe I should talk about that first. Here's Tammy. Here's Amy. She got a divorce from her husband. I don't know why. It was all behind closed doors. I think that she just said that he was too boring or something. But they made they're under a restraining order. I don't know. He's like so like slow in the mind. That's hard to imagine him being violent or anything. But Tammy has started losing weight. This is what she looks like now. It's really, really distinct. I don't know if she's still, I guess she's still with that guy. And they're losing weight together. Good for her. This is what she looked like on the show, and now she's lost enough fat where she doesn't have like that weird caveman bulge on her head like as much as she used to, and her chin waddle has decreased in size quite a bit. She left him, okay, probably just because he's so boring. Okay, that's that. I just want to give a brief Tammy. Look, you can actually see her eyes now. She can open her eyes. Isn't that shocking? Like her eyelid fat is no longer crushing her pupils. Amazing. So Fox News wanted to do a segment on furries because that thing happened that I mentioned either last Friday or last Tuesday about Ron DeSantis applying a drag queen ban that a furry convention then applied to minors at itself, just for like legal purposes, for the sake of protecting themselves as much as possible. They weren't directly ordered by Ron DeSantis to not allow children, but their lawyers advised them to make it an 18+ event. So Fox News wanted to do a story on this, and they reached out to a popular furry within the furry community and said, hello, would you like to do an interview on Fox News Ulu? And this is, of course, translated into furry so that they could understand them. This person then put out a poll. The Thai Slade says, I've been asked to do a 5-minute live interview in fursuit with, they make sure you wear that fucking suit. That's the advertising dollar right there, boy. With Jesse Waters on Fox, addressing the recent bill 1438 by Ron DeSantis and the new policy decision by Megaplex to exclude minors from attending this year. Should I do it or should I decline? Please comment. 100 people voted, of which 2/3 of them voted not to do this interview because this is obviously a terrible idea. There is no way that he would not just be reduced to a laughing stock on live national television. But he's a furry, and the furries love anything more than internet memes and pornography. It is attention. So, with the promise of being on television, he dons his fursuit and shows up. Oh, wait, that's the wrong one. Shows up on television.
Furries? They're a group of people who dress up in costume and pretend to be animals. They like to go to conventions, kind of like a Comic-Con, except everyone's dressed up like the Philly Fanatic. I guess this is just good, clean fun. Different strokes for different folks and all, but there's also a sexual undercurrent at the events. Some of it gets like, well, watch out for the guy with the paddle.
I want to get sold by the school. All right.
So now, thanks to DeSantis' new law, kids are not allowed to go to an upcoming furry convention in Florida.
Okay. Meet the furry.
We now turn it over to a real-life furry, David Kanaska, to respond. All right, David.
Just the audacity to put this on television is great.
How old are you?
I'm 32.
And what are you supposed to be dressed up as here?
Well, currently, I'm a raccoon.
And why are you dressed up as a raccoon?
Well, isn't it fun?
You should have just said, you asked me to. I thought he was a fox, so I named all these videos Fox on Fox, because I thought that was clever. Now that I know that he's just a raccoon, he doesn't look like a raccoon. It looks like they probably have like the same animal base for all their suits, and they just dress it up differently, because that looks way more like a fox costume than a raccoon. He didn't spring for the expensive model. That's the they do use the base. Yeah, I'm right. I know I'm right. Look at that. That's a fox. Look at those ears. Those are like fox ears. That's not like a raccoon ear at all.
Well, I mean, you're also great at spankings. Did you see the video we just played? What's going on with the spankings at the furry conventions?
Well, there's a popular restaurant called the Habra House, and this is a restaurant that is pretty close to one of the conventions that we set up every year. And at the Habra House, it's customary in Germanic tradition to, I guess, slap the asses of all of the patrons. I don't know why.
I didn't know the Germans were into that kind of kink, but there's a lot I don't know. So why do you want kids around people dressed up as squirrels getting spanked?
Okay.
Me personally, I don't. I think that it's definitely an adult-only environment for that. The furry conventions themselves don't have anything to do with that, though.
I would like to take a second to show you this map of furries in Western Europe, or in Europe as a whole. You may notice that in the West German, this is very specifically West Germany too. In West Germany, there appears to be a congregation of dots indicating furries. And in East Germany, fewer. I won't say none. There's fewer. You may also note that the Czech Republic, also known now called Czechia, has managed to avoid the infiltration, even though the Sudetenland is surrounded by the foe. The Czech Republic has made a valiant last stand and is repelling the enemy forces to the last man. The dog people shall be kept at bay. Slovakia, however, they are furry collaborationists. Under Tizo in his fox costume, they have collaborated directly with the furry Germans and are now an enemy to the Czechia state. Croatia based. I mean, look at Serbia. There's like one guy in Belgrade that hasn't gotten his ass kicked yet. There's a couple in Romania. The UK, there's also a very fine like Hadrian's Wall between Scotland and the UK. I don't know, maybe Scots aren't that bad, but Edinburgh is gone, North Ireland is gone. Even that's also funny that Northern Ireland has a bunch of furries, but but Ireland proper has fewer, except in Dublin, which is a shithole. Also, this also proves that the Dutch are definitely German, and so are the Austrians. Austria and the Dutch can just go back into the Holy Roman Empire, the Holy Furry Empire. But Belgium and Luxembourg are going to the French. This also proves that Alsace-Lorraine is rightful French territory. They are not nearly as furry as the Germans right across the border. So the French can keep Alsace-Lorraine. Yeah, this is actually probably the most effective way to divide Europe. Czech Republic, not German. Netherlands, German. Austria, German. Alsace-Lorraine, French. Belgium, French. Just divide it along these lines, and we've got this figured out. However, maybe Corsica and the other one. Oh, Sardinia. Corsica and Sardinia. They can be independent from Italy. They have managed to keep the infection at bay. Good stuff. Okay, let's continue with the furry on Fox.
Okay, do you blame yourself at all for being misunderstood? I mean, you're the one dressed up as a raccoon.
Oh, absolutely. I think that this is absolutely crazy and weird and fun. And that's the point. I think, it's supposed to gain attention. I like being on stage. I like performing as a character. I like bringing joy to people.
Okay.
That's why
if I came to one of your conventions,
of
David, or maybe we sent Johnny to the convention, what should we dress up as?
Fox.
You can dress up however you want. We've had Jack Sparrow.
Fox, it's right there. Fox.
Show up. We've had all kinds of different animals. What kind of animal do you think you would be?
Probably a dinosaur. David?
A dinosaur. I like that.
He's a scaly.
I gotta run.
Call him a scaly.
Good luck. And don't sweat too much.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you very much.
Jesse Waters about to get spanked in his scaly costume. His cameraman's going to be dressed up in a fox recording it. That's funny. The furries were not at all amused by this, by the way. Do I not have... Oh no, sorry, jump scare. That's something that's coming. Where the fuck is my reaction to this? I downloaded like 8 different images of furry reactions to this content, and don't have it. Okay, I'll just read it from the other screen because I still have it up. Vitaly Slade actually replied to people criticizing him for doing this interview, saying, "There were many factors that played into my decision. 1, I have experience with 2 different newspapers and an NPR broadcast. 2, I had been in the furry fandom for over 15 years, so I've been around the block a few times. And 3, I am in the top 10% of the country in regards to IQ. So you see this man right here in this costume. This is definitely not a fox repurposed to a raccoon costume. This man is a genius. He's got an IQ of like top 10% of the US. That's probably about a 96. I mean, he's up there, man. He's up there. He knows how to handle himself. Don't doubt him. So So a furry criticizes him and says studies have shown that IQ scores are meaningless. This guy probably puts his IQ on a resume just so we know he's full of shit. An interview on Fox News about furries and DeSantis is bad enough without finding out that they're dumb. They're a dumb crypto shill and an anti-vaccine COVID denier. I have to take it all back. My boy, 100% coon. He's got those coon genetics. He knows how to take his little paws and grab all the crypto shekels, and he knows that he's a pure blood. Say no to the vaccine, says the raccoon. Secretly trying to make me like this guy. Notorious Yote says, you should be ashamed of yourself. Vitaly Slade replies saying, what should I be ashamed of? Pray tell. Yote replies saying, for putting people going to Megaplex in danger by going on a news site that is against LGBT individuals and giving us a bigger target on our back. Don't trust the dinosaur and the fox. That's all I got to say. Keep them away from the secret sex dungeon that you bring the kids to. Soba the Shiba says that Jesse Waters segment implied that furries were grooming children. Furries fall under the umbrella as queer, according to conservatives, and are going to have to deal with the same rhetoric. We are so close to being a culture war issue. Why did you agree to the interview? That is true. They would have found somebody else probably. Because how hard is it to find an attention whore in a costume willing to talk on Fox News? Furries would be great for the culture war. I fully support expanding the acronym to the LGBTFIAP+, because they're very easy targets. Carrie Calendras says, I'm literally embarrassed to have ever known you. Holy shit, dude. Learn how not to feed into our rhetoric and flip the questions around before ever doing an interview again. Better yet, don't accept any interviews from Fox News. You gave them every single soundbite they could want. By the way, Carrie Calendras has a kind of display picture. There's a name for this when they're like bright neon. They look like radioactive and shit. I don't know what you call that. There's like a special word for it though, like a glow furry or some shit. Let me know in the chat. I'm kind of curious. Sparkle Dog. That's it. That's it. Rabid copy. That's very rabid. Knows about furry shit. Suspicious. Libby Dodo for I'm not reading super chats. It said 18 after. It says like it has like the no minors icon, like the 18 crossed out, and I saw Libby Dodo and the number 18. I thought that was like a donation amount, so my brain was hardwired to read it as a donation. I had to stop myself. I genuinely don't know I genuinely don't know why you're so far up your own arse that the furry fetish community wouldn't draw porn of it, or you're just so blatantly unaware of the damage you've caused for your own ego. You're the new Reddit anti-work mod of this year, and I hope your life peaks here. And Chara, and finally, it says, finally, you are exiled from the fandom. We don't want you or your partner here any longer. You are to be shunned, and I do hope you face consequences on your actions. I curse you to endure tenfold what you've done in ignorance, only to have peace when you've learned. So, unfortunately for our boy, the Coon, he has been sentenced in Roman furry court to relegatio, and he is no longer invited to partake in spankings and child candy events at the MegaCon, Mexicon. Very sad. And yeah, curse Yehameha too, to really top it all off. This guy's life is fucked up now. Sad, but true. Okay. So this is a long post. I feel like I should read it all though. I think I will. Okay. Let me do this. I'm gonna do this a different way because I want to have a pee break. So I'm gonna show you something that I intended to show you before, and then use that as an excuse to go pee, and then I'll read the long thing in one go. I would like you to meet a guy. Okay, his name is Anduella. He is a schizophrenic. I believe he lives in Baltimore. He is black. He is possibly a troon. See, this is him. I think in drag. He says that his boobs are small. This is him. By the way, he's the nastiest dreadlocks I've ever seen. You can literally see mold growing in them. In his apartment, it's just utter trash because he's mentally ill and like he can't take care of himself. Obviously, he's got the spirit of the garlic, but what he means to say is that he's the emperor of Japan. Someone posted this in the Prospering Grounds. It doesn't have much traction, but I saw it and I saw that beautiful face and I thought, oh, that's a schizophrenic. This is interesting. He's into Kabbalah, which is the esoteric mysticism of Jewish people. So he's like a Jewish convert. He writes in Hebrew and Japanese whenever he can. He's interested in Japanese culture. I think that he's interested in anime, because of some things that he says. And he's also really interested, in going to public places, talking to himself, doing drive-by comments at random people, which is extremely awkward, and photographing women's feet as he does so. So he has like 3 different channels. This is his latest one. This one has 15 views from a day ago. And I'm going to just show you what he does in public. Okay. Just watch a minute or two of this.
Okay, so this is her mom's ass. I am the only one popular enough to get this. Her mom is sitting with her saying, only I get this. This is a mom. That totally changes. Okay, you don't have a baby. Should I be leading this, you know? Like, if by the end of the day I'm with a better girl than that, like, they're saying I should be leading this. Like, if not. They're just like, we're getting into fist fights. Like, I'm the most Israeli. Like,
my favorite part is when he runs past the Asian woman and says, "You don't have a baby." I also want to say that he's the whitest sounded black man I've ever heard. Like, I don't know, he really captures that like California stoner bro like really well. That English, yeah, bro. This part, like, I don't know, the thing about mentally ill people is that like they're really funny. They have like quirks to their personality that are like interesting. The issue is that even like really disabled people are like, like the part of your brain that's like horny is like one of the most fundamental parts of the brain. It's like a really primordial part of the psyche. So they're still like horn dogs, even though they're like, you know, like seriously disabled. Even like people with Down syndrome are like horny and they jerk off all the time in like care facilities. It's pretty fucking gross. So I don't know if you noticed, but whenever he holds his camera up at women, he usually pans down because he wants to capture their feet, and it's really obvious at this timestamp that I had picked out. Right here. Okay, he sees 2 girls, and look at that camera angle. He doesn't want to capture them at all. He just wants those feet. In fact, can we get a nice zoom in on those Crocs? Damn, those sure are some nice Crocs with socks, I guess. And they definitely realize that he's filming them, and it's really cringe. And we would have people like this in a facility where they don't hassle people. But Ronald Reagan and his wife decided that we don't need mental institutions anymore. So this just happens. You're just sitting on a bench minding your own business, and a black man who thinks he's the Kabbalistic emperor of Japan will run up to you with this camera phone that Obama probably paid for and take pictures of your feet without your consent. Apparently, I didn't see it in this video. I looked for it, but supposedly when he does these videos, he'll go out, he will take pictures of everybody's feet, and then at the end of the video, sometimes he'll do a foot review where he goes through all the pictures he took and talks about which ones he likes the most. I'm forced to assume that this is sexual, but because what else would be the point of it? But he's not overtly sexual about it from what I've read, so I really don't know. Because it's not like the feet are even bare. It's like, I guess socks and sandals could be like a fetish. I really don't know. Anyways, that's this guy. I just wanted to, like I said, I'm endeavoring to find little threads to talk about on stream. Make use of the content of the forum. And when I saw this guy's face, and I thought there's probably something there, probably something funny to talk about. The Hebrew says no opinion. There you go. Get him for an interview. He can't hold a thought. Like when he talks, he's so disjointed that I don't think there would be much to talk about. He's pretty out of it. Okay. So this is the long post. This is by Lauren Southern, not to be confused with Laura Southern, who is a figment of my imagination. Lauren Southern has been absent from the public stage for quite some time. People have been speculating that something might have happened with her husband, but nobody really knew for sure what happened to Lauren Southern. So, she has written about what has happened, and I will read it for you. There is a video on Odyssey by her that is over an hour long. I found it literally with less than an hour before stream, so I hadn't been able to watch it. So you can watch it yourself on Odyssey if you would choose to. I will read this post, though, because I do have that available to me. She says, okay, it's taken me years to address this, but I'm finally in a good enough space mentally and spiritually to do so. What you're reading now is a summary of an approximately hour-long video that I will link below. My life has been utterly batshit insane for the last 4 to 5 years. While my online content might seem boring compared to my heyday in 2015 to 2018, my real life has been a fever dream. I've been afraid to talk about it for various reasons, not least of all people wondering if I'm a full-blown schizo. You can all tell I've changed. You're right. What you may not know is why. And I think the final phase of healing is creating some congruence between my public and private life by telling you. You all know that I have been the object of extreme scrutiny by multiple governments. I should have known my sanity was suffering with the interrogations, nationwide bans, and confinement almost became background noise for me. However, what I didn't realize was what it would get weirder outside of politics than in. I might as well just jump in and say this. Despite being treated like an international fugitive, I married someone who worked in a capacity for the feds. Yes, I know, meme away. The truth is, we didn't meet when he was on duty. In fact, he was on a hiatus when we started dating, and the kind of work I do is outside his purview. We generally did deeply care for one another, and if anything, our lives were made a living nightmare due to the unorthodox pairing of an activist with someone who required a security clearance to get work. We really felt we could pull off a Romeo and Juliet thing, and he had sworn he was willing to give it all up for me as I was for him. So you can believe me when I say I didn't marry him for his job or for money. I was a threat to his ability to keep both. And I'm not so shallow that I'd marry a man for looks. I married him because I was in love and we shared the same values, Catholic and conservative with aspirations towards marriage and family. But unfortunately, after we did settle into a more mundane routine, the reality of losing his life's work became too much for him. Although he was able to return back to something resembling his old work, eventually his security clearance was downgraded due to being married to me. His access to certain jobs and promotions was limited, if not revoked. Going from a living James Bond lifestyle to being reduced to a boring middle manager with little to no upward mobility is crippling for ambitious men. I'm not saying it's okay, but it's human. He took his resentment for this out on me, which I understand. She needs to stop being a handmaiden for this guy. I feel because he accepted the risk involved, he would never leave our marriage, citing career reasons, but he did eventually find a variety of lesser reasons to propose divorce. His final one being my ADHD. When I say there was no deeper complaint, I mean it. It was always very vague, with all who heard it equally perplexed by what steps could even be taken. I suppose if you don't wish to stay married, picking something someone cannot change about themselves is a surefire way to do it. Although I certainly did try, as I can sympathize with frustration of dealing with an ADHD partner in any scenario, I spent nearly all day cleaning, cooking, caring for a child, laundry, ironing, whatever I could do to help. I even split bills until my bank account was empty. While no one is perfect, I don't think I ever worked so hard at anything in my life as being a good wife. I also began going to a specialized ADHD clinic and taking Vivazine daily to see if that would satisfy his growing demands as I manage it at threat of divorce. Sadly, it did not work, and whether it be genuinely due to my ADHD or his resentment towards me being a career deadweight, my husband left me and our child. I was devastated. My life as I knew it fell apart in a moment. I would ask anyone reading this not to express hate or judgment in the comments. That doesn't help anyone. Just prayer for all involved. Whether the right decision or not, COVID, work stress, losing the things you've sacrificed your entire life for are not easy for anyone. It's been 2 years since this happened. If I'm going to be honest, I nearly lost my mind. I think almost anyone would. I was beyond heartbroken, even more so when all the offers for co-parenting mediation were rejected, as involvement with us would complicate his future. To this day, I received no alimony, child support, or anything like that. I could have pushed harder for it initially, but while still hoping he would return, I certainly didn't have it in me to fight over money. For the first 7 months after he left, I lived with my parents, during which my mental health was as shot as my savings. I was in severe denial, so I kept wearing my ring and speaking about my husband as if he was still a part of my life. My brain was honestly broken, but I didn't have the luxury of licking my wounds. My son was depending on me, if not for my friends, including a very few in the political world who knew the story. I don't know what I could have done. I particularly want to thank Evelyn Ray, who was with me through every step of this all, whether I was in Australia or Canada. Eventually, I moved out of my parents' house. I ended up in a cabin on a trailer park. It was unconventional, but surprisingly, the first step of what would become a beautiful healing journey. Because despite living in a cabin infested with ants, with taps that only gave non-drinkable dirt water, and my cabin being the community trailer park washer and dryer, since no one else had one, I found family among the others living there. They gave my son and me what we desperately needed: community, role models, unconditional kindness, and love. Believe me when I say that those days of rednecking it up in the woods were some of the happiest of my life. Every stereotypical idea of trailer park residents was shattered for me. These were some of the kindest, most dignified individuals I've ever met. Any privileged influencers who call the working class lazy only wish they could be so decent. I met children living in cars with more manners than any prep kid I've ever met. I don't live there anymore. Eventually, the draw of running water and not waking up the people using your basement as an impromptu cookout spot was too much to resist. But to be honest, I often miss it. However, I have cultivated a new, mixed with the old, and equally beautiful community of people around me for my son to grow up with. Some of them I grew up with. Some are local churchgoers. Some are even further fans who became friends. And yes, some miraculously are people from media and politics with actual souls. Thank you all truly. I will finish this, I suppose. What have I learned from all this? Well, on one hand, I'm extremely black-pilled about politics, especially seeing how powerful and corrupt governments can be from the inside, and knowing that the media, which is supposed to hold them accountable, has been largely reduced to listicles and performative gaslighting. And that very much has included me in the past. I've commented on far too many things I had not lived, and got a serious reckoning from reality. I've grown to realize that I'm no one's ideological avenging angel. I'm just me. I don't fit into any neat little political box because life doesn't. I have too much love and good amount of agreement with many of my followers still. I just don't expect any one set of talking points of philosophical outlook to inform my work. My skepticism of power isn't going anywhere. My very real experiences with hostile governments were simply too dramatic to trust the state again. This is not because they've been taken over by liberals. It's because they have only been used as fronts for sociopaths who will use whatever moral code du jour is as a way of going on and exploding and deceiving those they were supposed to protect and serve. I'm only one person, though, and I don't wish to give every moment of my life and mind to that darkness. Instead, I do what I can where I can make change. But given what I've experienced and the behemoth I know are replicants, I decided the most important things in my life are actually directly around me. People I love, nature, actually enjoying the world, instead of having so much hubris to think I can change anyone else's decision-making or actions except for my own. The rest is just personal notes. So the lesson, chat, in case you're not following along, is that I was right. And I know you might be thinking, Josh, how could you say that? What could you possibly be right about? When I told you that anybody working for the government would put their loyalty to the government and their 20-year pension above anybody, their own family, their own children, their wife, their mother and father, I was right. And some people think, but Josh, my dad works for the Fish and Wildlife. My aunt works for the USDA. My grandfather worked for the FBI, and so on and so forth. They would skin you alive in a moment's notice. Given the order, unthinkingly, they would pull out their service revolver and blow your fucking brains out the very second that a commanding officer said, either do this or you will be held in contempt and your pension will be taken away. So, I feel bad for Laura. I hope that she recovers from her problems. I hope that, I don't know, her husband was like Asian or some shit. It's gonna be hard finding like a stepdad and moving on from this with a child. But if she had listened to me and knew to keep feds out of her life, always, like, for instance, chat, you wouldn't date somebody who had been with a black guy. Why would you date a fed? It's basically the same thing. There's almost, in terms of the psychological aspects of what it takes to have sex with black people and be with the federal government, there is basically identical. The kind of person who could work for the government is the same kind of person who would have sex with black people. This is the truth, and you know I'm right. So don't be hypocritical and be like, oh, it's the love of my life, so he works for the government and has a top secret security clearance. Feds should be forced to keep their federally as a deep, dark secret. They should never feel comfortable telling that their spouse that they work for the federal government. They should be like, oh, the J. Edgar Hoover building, yeah, I'm going up there to do juggling. I'm a clown. I like to perform on the street outside the J. Edgar Hoover building. That's why I spend all my time there. I collect tips on the street by juggling bowling balls or bowling pins. I don't work for the feds. It should be like a deep secret, you know what I mean? And she really needs to stop apologizing for her husband. It's like, oh, he told me lies and ruined my life and abandoned me to live in a trailer park and doesn't even pay me and has totally forsaken my child. And I'm going to have to raise his spawn because the alternative is drowning him. And I get no thanks for it whatsoever. But you know how proud, ambitious men are with their careers, that she doesn't give his career is over. You think that just because he divorced you, he's going to get promoted again? No, he's blacklisted as like a enemy of the state. He doesn't give a fuck about you. What are you talking about? So I don't know. Hopefully the next part of her healing is realizing that she trusted a fed and she shouldn't have, and now her life is ruined and her prospects are fucking tanked. Because remember, her career was basically built on the fact that she was like a trad wife, that she was a conservative beacon, and now she doesn't have that because she's no longer a trad wife. The best she can hope for at this point is like a blended family. It's very sad. It's sad that we have members of the federal government who don't live in shame, and it's sad that we have people who continue to trust and tolerate members of the federal government as if they're real people and not enemies of the average person. Okay. Next up, what do I got? And like I said, she did a full video on Odyssey if you want to read that. Talked about that. I think now I just have a little bit of Ralph, and then I have a final message. The most important part of the stream will be after the Ralph segment. Unironically, I'm not talking about super chats. Let me just talk about this real quick, and then I have a message for the people. Dick Masterson again trying to stoke confrontation with Eric July, comic book artist, so that he can sell a pedophile's comic book. Tweets out, Eric July is unhinged. Look at this shit. Matt Jarbo simply reviewed the comic. Matt is a qualified media reviewer, and Eric threatens to physically beat him like some reactionary street thug. This is in reply to Eric July saying, "Ha, this shows you know nothing about me. As much as I've been disrespected, if that was my attitude, I would have long ran up to one of y'all's fat asses and knocked you the fuck out. Using the reaching that you're doing for stretching because I know you can't touch your kneecaps." I don't think that this is such a he's gonna bitch and cry about the Kiwi farms being the Karen farms. Look at all that moral fagging about raping children that those Karens on the Karen farms do. And then when a black man says, "Shit, if I was a lesser man, I would have ran up on y'all niggas and beat the fuck out you. No cap, for real, for real." And he's like, "Oh, this is aggravating language, threatening Mr. Jarbo with a physical punishment for not conforming to his needs and telling him what he wants to hear. No, comic book child. By the way, buy Vito the Pedo's comic book, now available on GoFundMe. It's about some man that goes fast or some shit." Whatever. Then Ralph goes, "Okay, I'm on Eric July's side now." Dick Masterson says, "You should have him on." Jarbo says, "Oh, Dick, the last time that happened, it didn't end well for him. I guess because they had a spat, and July pulled out the BBC, and Ethan Ralph, being a black man worshiper, had no choice but to surrender to his caveman instincts." Dick says, "I meant Eric July." I guess deliberately trying to conflate that he meant that Jarbo thought himself. And then Ethan Ralph, of course, has to step up and say, "I made so much money last year, I couldn't count it all. I just don't know where it went. So I worked out pretty well, I'd say. I've been wasting more money on spilt liquor, literally, than Jarbo has made over the last 4 years online." Matt Jarbo is the only person that has not come out of hiding and deep-dicked Ethan Ralph. Ethan Ralph, by the way, recently deleted his entire history, 10 plus years of tweeting from Twitter, because he got suspended for some shit he said. And now he's so afraid of getting banned and losing his Twitter account for real that Matthew Vickers, in a rare W, has buck-broken Ethan Ralph and gotten him to permanently and totally destroy his entire like tens of thousands of tweets over his entire life online. Just gone. Like tears in the rain. So Matt Jarbo, being one of the only people that he's managed not to get fucked in the ass by in his infinite downward spiral, has now become the source of his ire right now. So here's 2 minutes of him ranting about Jarbo.
I saw Jarbo talking shit. First off, Eric July threatened to beat his ass, and now I'm team Eric July now. I don't give a fuck. I want to see him roll up on Jarbo and just beat the fuck out of him. Although I don't support violence, but I'm just saying I don't support violence, but I'd still like to see it. I'd like to see a legal beating of Matt Jarbo online, because he sucks and he should pull the gun out and blow his fucking brains out the side of his fucking head. Like, literally worthless. I ended him. His whole fucking career destroyed, courtesy of me. So I can understand why he's upset. But he sucked. He's always sucked. He's always been a faggot, a complete fucking faggot, and I can't wait till he dies, to be honest with you. He's worthless. He's interfered in a lot of ways with my life. I would love to see him just get absolutely fucking wrecked and put in the hospital for the rest of his life, or worse. And yeah, that's how I feel. I don't give a fuck. And yeah, he's welcome to come on here any fucking time he wants. He's welcome to get his ass whooped by me, much less Eric July. I don't give a fuck. You talk about fights, I would put Matt Jarbo in a coma, and I would absolutely not regret it at all. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I would be blessed by the Lord for putting him in a coma. And I'm not kidding. There's no jokes about it. I would love to absolutely fucking just take everything from him and disable him and disfigure him and just change the whole outlook of his entire fucking life. So,
failed to register.
You know what? I don't even care about. I just want to rage on Matt Jarbo now. You know what? I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. But you know what? I'm starting to like Eric July a little bit more, I have to say. Yeah, fuck Matt Jarbo. I would support any type of hostile action that's legal, of course. You know, I'm assuming that he would start hostilities or do something provocative that would warrant an absolute fucking hospitalization. But this guy,
all he did is say the last time Eric July was on the kill stream, it didn't end well for Ralph. And that makes him that angry that he's literally like sitting there stewing in his own anger, thinking like, I fucking kill him, I fucking beat the fuck out of him, disfigure him and shit, put him in the hospital, broken neck, can't fucking move, drink through fucking straw, comatose, changing his whole out. Like, Matt Jarbo should just like lightly tease Ralph forever and have him like constantly in a state of anger and frustration and at a loss of control for everything in his life. Because that's all it takes. It's just like, oh, Ralph is silly, teehee, and then he's just Mr. Grumpy Pants sitting there. Okay, so that's the Ralph shit. I have one more thing. There is an issue. There's a situation, and I think that it should be brought unironically. I'm being serious face here. This issue should be brought to the attention of as many people as physically possible. There is a long-running thread on the Kiwi Farms about a bunch of litigant trannies in the UK, centered around someone named, like, legally named Stephanie Hayden. I don't know the full detail of this, and I really don't give a fuck. Stephanie Hayden has like criminal convictions, is a gross litigant tranny, has been in the courts for years and years, and has been seriously harassing a Catholic advocate in the UK named Carolyn Farrow. There is a chance that I will do an interview with Carolyn Farrow against her better judgment in the next week or so. I'll let you know, because she's asked me to do an interview before, and I said maybe, and now is probably the appropriate time to do that. Carolyn has been harassed legally by this tranny for years, literally years, at her own expense and at her family's expense, because she has children. And the police have done literally nothing to help her from this harassment. Stephanie Hayden has showed up at Carolyn Farrow's house, has harassed her Catholic organization that her husband works for, and so on and so forth. The only person being penalized for this is Carolyn Farrow. The police are taking the tranny's side every time. The tranny will allege all sorts of shit, and the police don't have the interest to actually investigate and do their jobs, and they will presume Carolyn Farrow guilty every time, because of the United Kingdom, you do not have to be proven guilty. If the government wants to assume that you're guilty, that is their prerogative. So recently, what has happened is that, well, not recently, a little step back, we're getting closer. Stephanie Hayden began alleging that a bunch of users on the Kiwi Farms making fun of him were Carolyn Farrow, posting on sock accounts. Carolyn Farrow saw this and decided, you know what I'll do? This is probably not a good idea, but this is what she decided to go with. I will make my own account on the Kiwi Farms under my real name, and I will post as myself, so that there can be absolutely no ambiguity in who is saying belongs to whose mouth. So she joins, and she's been an active user on the forum for I think a couple of years now. I think since like 2019, maybe even earlier. But she's been posting under her own name in her thread in regards to her litigation with this tranny. This has not stopped Stephanie Hayden from alleging over years, filing tons and tons of police reports, claiming that by posting in that thread, Carolyn Farrow is engaging in harassment, indirect harassment, and getting people to bully and say mean things about Hayden on the internet. And that's what this is about, that people are calling Stephanie Hayden, who I believe has a criminal offense for sex crimes related to children. Could be wrong. There's some weird shit where he ran like a website lusting over young boys or something, saying like, oh, that's a nice young fella, and it was really creepy and weird. I don't know if that led to a conviction or not, but that's what I was informed by the thread. And people make fun of Hayden for this because it is vile and disgusting, and he blames over every time that this is all Carolyn Farrow's fault. He has filed so many complaints to the police, and they just accept them at face value because they don't want to be called bigoted. They don't want to be called transphobic. Would be ashamed to be called transphobic. By the way, I think that the police that she's dealing with are the Surrey police. So whenever you see those pictures of the faggots in the big round LGBTQIA plus rainbow ball and like the gay pictures of all the gay shit the police do, I'm pretty sure that's all the Surrey police in the UK. And she has to deal with those people. So every time Hayden complains, it goes to these freaks who are lazy and insipid and stupid. They accept them at face value. They do no investigative police work, and they presume guilt every time because they're legally enabled to do so, because the United Kingdom does not have a justice system. It is a fucking joke. It is a travesty. And it is what the English deserve. But I feel like I would bring this to your people's attention because what they have just unveiled to Carolyn Farrow as their plan to deal with her egregious Haas postings, indirect Haas postings on the Kiwi farms, is so so unbelievably dystopian that it kind of defies logic and comprehension. It's something that you would expect in China, but it is in the UK. And it will be in places like the New Zealand and Australia and Canada very soon, because all those Commonwealth countries are the same sort of shit. Probably Germany, France, and the rest. So here's your preview to the future. Don't say I didn't tell you so. Carolyn Farrow on Twitter says, I'm going to do a thread and limit replies. You'll see why. Please do not speculate with names, but I think this is what is happening to me is important. I am not prohibited from talking about things in general terms. On Monday afternoon, my solicitor received bizarre communication from the Surrey police solicitors. He thought it had to do with my civil claim against them. After some miscommunication, they sent through a bundle for a court hearing. I am due in court tomorrow, so that would be yesterday. The police asked that physical paperwork related to the court hearing against me in 2 days was withheld from me. They wanted me to go to court hearing without access to the accusations and alleged evidence. Surrey police have applied for a stalking protection order as a result of material I have posted on Twitter. On page 1 of the bundle, repeated misgendering is cited. So, charge 1, misgendering. This is the prohibitions that they are seeking to impugn Carolyn Farrow with. Oh, sorry, let me put this on screen. Oh, wait, it was on screen. I just minimized it real quick. Here's what they want to put her under. I will be assigned a offender manager, think like a probation officer in the United States. I will not be allowed to use any social media, social networking, gaming, or dating site without the offender manager's written permission and having supplied them with the username and passwords for all sites within 3 days. In addition, the following requirements are added. 1. Police officers will be allowed to enter your registered addresses between the hours of 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. at any time to conduct a risk assessment, monitor devices, and manage compliance of the order. Number 2, provide your offender manager with any mobile, digital, or internet-enabled devices for examination, review, and monitoring purposes immediately upon request. You must also provide your offender manager with access pins, passwords, or patterns. Examinations... Get this fire hydrant out of the way real quick, because I want to read the rest of that tweet. Examinations may be completed manually on scene or could entail them seizing your devices for examination by agencies contracted by the police for that purpose. So it's not just members of law enforcement, it's random assholes that they hire for the job. Failing to disclose the existence of a device in your possession to your offender manager will count as a failure to comply with this condition. 3. Re-register home address every 12 months at a police station within 365 days of last registration. 4. Provide your offender manager with a list of all mobile, digital, or internet-enabled devices that you own or have access to use. The list must be provided within 3 days of the order being granted or within 3 days of any changes. The officer says this: I believe that while presenting a significant interference with the respondent's privacy rights, it is an appropriate course of action in the circumstances. Signed by the Surrey Police Superintendent, I consider that in accordance with paragraph 2 of Article 8 of the HRA, an interference by this force as a public authority is in accordance with the laws and is necessary. So, if you are listening and you are somebody who has access to a bigger platform, who enjoys a little shit posting at the expense of the British, and would like to bring to the attention that trannies in the UK now have so much power they can effectively put an innocent woman on probation without trial or charge, you may feel free to do so. You can reach out to Carolyn Farrow on her Twitter account, probably, assuming that she's not being monitored. I think she has a list to her solicitor and such. And I may talk to her myself. However, given the stipulations of her offender manager, I don't know how much could be said. So how do we feel? Let's do a poll. How do we feel, chat? How do we feel about this? Can I add some emojis to my poll? Can I do like Pooner memes? Let's see what I can do here. Oh no, I can't. Okay. Let's see. Option 1 is Anglo suffering is base. Not even Anglos deserve this. Let's see how we're feeling right now, chat. All right, the votes are coming in. The votes are coming in. So far at 230 votes, 85%, oh, it's dropped down to 75% of people say that not even Anglos deserve this. It's now at 500 votes, about 3/4 of people, I mean, it's closer to 4/5 of people even believe that this is punishment too cruel for even the lowest of the low, for the Britoids. Not even numerals. Do not vote. Leave the UK. That's what the thing is, I would like her to play this by their rules as hard as possible. I don't think that she should just like leave the country and then think, oh, I'm outside the country, I'm immunized from any gay bullshit. There's a real question to be had about this, by the way. So the UK has some of the most egregious defamation laws in the world. They're just preposterous, to the point where it was commonplace for companies and people to with offense to go to the United Kingdom, a jurisdiction that neither people were from, and then use the British defamation laws to secure a high dollar award for harm, and then export that judgment to other countries to have it enforced. And this worked in the US like one time, and it caused such like a mass media revolt that it ended up passing a bill called the Protect Speech Act. And the Protect Speech Act basically says that no foreign civil judgment can be enforced in the United States if it would not qualify, in regards to defamation or similar, if it would not qualify as defamation under American law also. So it is possible to bring a defamation suit in the UK and then have it enforced in the US, but it must meet an American standard, which is very, very high for defamation. The question is that this is like a criminal thing. She has like a probation officer, even though she has not been convicted of anything, just because the police are sick of dealing with this, basically, and they're too fucking lazy and stupid to deal with it on their own. They're too fucking dumb to look at what's happening and actually figure out and come to a logical determination about what is the actual issue and how to deal with it, because they're retarded. They don't know how to do that. They're too fat and stupid to do that. If I haven't made that clear, I'm saying that the British police are some of the lowest forms of life on the planet, and we'd all be better off with them all dead. I forgot what I was saying. I got angry. I was thinking about how much I hate police again. Oh, because it's a criminal issue, not a civil one. I don't know if just being in the U.S. has any kind of protection for you at all. But she's more than welcome to move. We need to. Here's my plan. I'm gonna take all the base people and I'm gonna put them in a Maramudistan, and then one day a Maramudistan won't be such a shithole, and then I can come back. I am 3% black, I think. So yes, I hate the police. Fuck the police coming straight out the underground. Nigga, what is it? Pigs hate a nigga cause he brown. That's me, for real, for real. Okay, that's it. Like I said, this is significant news. I think it is of interest to everybody because this is what they want. They want it so that you're afraid to talk. They're afraid to make fun of their gross tranny golems. And they're going to export this kind of bullshit to all the Commonwealth. And then they would love to one day export it to the United States as well. So with 1,250 votes in, it is exactly 3/4 of people do not believe that even Anglos deserve such cruelty. And with that, I'm done. I cannot think of anything that I missed. So I should explain that we're getting close to being back on ClearNet. There's some stuff I have to do first. I'm waiting on other people, and I'm not really in any rush. I'm taking some time, some R&R, and soon-ish we will be back into a position where I can start working again on bringing everything back up. So thank you for your patience. If you're one of those people who actually browse my site, about 1/4 to 1/5 of people still post every day, but the post count is not that low. It's not like 1/4 of posts. It's higher than that. It's like 1/3 of posts. So the heaviest posters are the people that are bothering to find the site on tour, which I'm appreciative of. There's always a flow of content and stuff. Like I populate my streams from showing the site. Okay. Let us begin the Super Berries segment. I have a super special song picked out for the outro. And wallpaper filter. And if you're not, I will be streaming on Tuesday again in Amerimud hours. Just to clarify, my streams will be Tuesday, Amerimud hours, 6 p.m. in Europe. 6 p.m. Eastern time. And midnight in European hours, and then Fridays will stay at the European hours. All right. Anonymous for 5 says, I swear Tipster is an up-and-coming lolcow. He has a breadtuber brain rot and is a reply guy to Keffels, Woo, Jaden, Lilith Lovett, Review Tech USA, Demon Mama, and Vito. He also claims he abandoned Christianity because of the harassment people mentioned before God. Dude, that dude is a tranny fucker. He's not really a lolcow. He's as much a lolcow as like Short Fat Otaku is, in that they're just gross, porn sick tranny fuckers, and that's all that there is to them. Anonymous for 5 says, as much as chat hates Turkey Tom, at least he isn't as bad as his commentary counterparts. That's true. Turkey Tom is one of the better people in that group. I mean, he's just like a Zoomer. He hasn't been he hasn't learned to hate them yet, but he will. All those if they manage to avoid being molested and growing up, they will learn to hate them. Crack Pipe Cowboy for 15 says, happy Friday, Josh. You've mentioned it previously, but the fake estrogen and Matt Walsh discovery was insane this week. Lord Psalm 135 by Anthony's Greek Mouse song. Leave that in the background. Yeah, we talked about the estrogen thing already. Thank you. Anonymous for 5 says, hey Josh, sending this in advance. Please read this article from the New York Post if you don't cover it today. Women only spa forced to allow trans customers with penises even though everyone is naked. It ticks every box so much it's comical. I talk about that. That was a judgment by their Human Rights Tribunal, the HRT. The Washington State HRT says, you don't like lady dick? That's too bad. Anonymous for 10 says, weebs are like bronies. If your interest gets popular, they get infested with crossover and fetish art. They recently took an interest in Battletech, and community space instantly flooded with soft core. Why do they mangle everything? Why aren't they shunned like MLP? Oh, weebs? Are we blaming the anime avatar trones for this one? I don't know. Probably because they're the ones that manage the communities and shit. Like, what are you gonna do? 4chan is managed by weebs and shit. There's no appeals in the system. I shun them as hard as I can, though. I do overtime for everybody. Anonymous for 5 says, in reference to Tuesday's stream, part of showing people on Cozy TV going mask off about the pedophilia tendencies, I propose that Fuentes have Cozy's and by default America First mascot be Pedo Bear and their anthem be Oingo Boingo song Little Girls. You'd have to tell Nick Fuentes that. I'm not going to submit your appeal to him. And really, Nick Fuentes likes the Broccoli Boys. He doesn't like the little girls. No girls allowed at his cozy slumber party. Pope Urban for 10 says, Josh, give me promotional stickers when the site is on ClearNet I can spread throughout my community. I made my own tour. Oh, 4 tour. Yeah, I should do stickers again. There's merch I want to run. I want to run apparel first. I might just get stickers as well. Now that I have logistics figured out, the only reason why I don't want to do like permanent merchandise, like most people do, like most sane people do, is I don't want to keep any customer details on the site. Like when I do my runs, when I'm done, I export everything. I zip it up with a password and store it for like tax reasons. Actually, no, I don't. I do the final tabulations, and then I keep that anonymized, and I don't keep any records of the transactions. Yeah, I just don't want that information. So it's harder to do that when you have rolling merchandise as opposed to just dropping the tables and recreating them. Thank you. They won't let you remember na 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 for 536 says, the good guys dress in black. Remember that just in case we ever face to face and make contact. The title held by me, MIB, means that you think you saw, you did not see. Please finish the song on a karaoke stream. Yours truly, Jada Smith's husband, Snee. I do not have the necessary voice for a karaoke segment. I think that yeah, I would prefer not to embarrass myself. Anytime I feel good enough to start singing, I instantly regret it. Thank you. Silly Poo for 10 says, happy Fishy Friday, Josh. Smiley face, and then there's a link to a video. Okay, it's 30 seconds long. Let's see what this is.
And a little bit of fishy fried. Cold fish on a Friday night. Pair of fins that fit just right. And the water level up. See the fish tonight. See the fish in a woman's smile. See the touch of a precious fins in your water.
I don't get it. Oh my god, look at these suggestions. Look at listening to this Fishy Fry song has poisoned my suggestions with garbage. I don't get it. Sorry. There was no video to miss, by the way. It was just this on loop. Fishy and the fishy hook with the triangle thing. You've missed literally nothing. Thank you though. Sanctus Ordo Megamenes Crivati for 12 says, holding court at Matty Castle, we the Megaman Council elected to grant you honorary membership in the Megaman faction. The entities this entitles you to receive the court protocols and the list of current members, both included here. Okay, there's an image I'm loading up. There's some anime shit that's downloading. Someone took I will show this on screen, even though it is gay anime, because someone took an immense amount of time using an actual quill and ink to write an old, like, German fairy book style page by hand, which is quite impressive. Okay, there you go. That is the list of members and the Megamans and their emblem, I guess. Thank you very much. Hope everyone enjoys. Eat Dirt, Drink Bleach for 20 says Twitter link. Okay, one sec.
If you want to be transgender, I don't even fucking have a problem with that, and nobody else does. Nobody cares. Here's what they care about. You shoving it in everybody's fucking face everywhere they fucking look, saying that you're the most protected class of society, and you're saying you're the most villainized. Well, the reason you're getting heat now is because now motherfuckers are getting to the point where they're running into schools and killing people because of the perceived hate that they're getting, when in reality, you wouldn't even get the hate if you just leave the kids alone. This isn't hard to understand, but the reason they won't leave the kids, why won't they leave the kids alone? Or why would a grown man dress like a woman? And because you don't ever see it the other way around. You don't ever see women dressed as men doing the fucking dances and shit. It's always fucking men dressed as women doing the fucking dances in front of kids. And the real shit is we have a whole infiltration of pedophiles doing this shit, and y'all motherfuckers are celebrating and enabling it, and it's bad. And people hate it. And guess what? They're not gonna fucking take it forever.
Months might take it forever. I have very limited hope for people. I don't know. People are getting pretty pissed off. This has 4 million views. We'll see. Maybe they will. Maybe they will, chat. Pretty base though, nice and spicy. Anonymous for 5 says, Josh, I'm so happy you'll never get sponsored and you'll never have to hear your mushmouth your way through an ad read. I guess in response to me trying to read the Lauren Southern thing. I'm a very bad reader. I don't even know. What can I advertise? A VPN? Get NordVPN. Get Proton VPN. They'll cancel your sponsorship after they see it on a website where people would be interested in buying a VPN. I think Nord. I don't know. I don't know if Nord kicked us off. I tried to get a little bit of money, but you know, such is life. Molvad doesn't do sponsorships. Neither does Express or IVPN. Express does. Sorry, IVPN does not. Pope Urban for 29 says, check out the Foundation Against Intolerance and Racism. They stand up to woke stuff in a moderate, liberally way. Okay. This is Fair for All, Substack.com. By Matthew Garrett. I'll read the first paragraph. George Floyd's death in May 2020 ignited a long festering frustrations that ended some 24 lives nationwide and cost more than $1 billion in damage. While some have recoiled in shock at the destruction, others rationalize it as an overdue reckoning. Ibram X. Kendi's How to Be an Anti-Racist flew off the shelves, and many celebrated his call to action. The only remedy to past discrimination is present discrimination. The only remedy to present discrimination is future discrimination. I don't know what the fuck that means. That sounds like I should just not live anywhere near black people to me when I hear that. So Foundation Against Intolerance and Racism by fairforall.substack.com is what was being advertised there. Thank you. Cows are cute for 10 says, Eat Daddy Josh, I am a mindless drone working for the Postal Service. Does your hate for government's alphabet people extend to me? Please say no. Your approval means everything. Unfortunately, it does. The police, the Postal Service has a police. You guys inspect packages. You fuck with people's mail. People do get arrested over bullshit reasons as a result of the Postal Service. And you fuck up my mail constantly. Well, you did in the U.S. Actually, no, even in Europe, when I try to get shit delivered by UPS or USPS to Serbia, you guys fuck it up constantly. I don't even know how you do it. Shit just gets lost. Like, whoops. Like back in the day, you guys had to ride horses through the Rocky Mountains to deliver mail, and through rain nor sleet nor snow, nothing would stop the Postal Service. Nowadays, you find these clips, and you got some black lady, and she's driving on your fucking lawn and just throwing a box onto your porch, and then waddling back to her car, and she's grinding out that 20-year for her pension. She got some of the best medical coverage in the entire country. The best retirement plan. She's protected. If you assault her, that's like a mega felony just because she's a federal employee. Like, you sold your soul to the government regardless. I guess you do less harm than the FBI, but you still sold it, my dude. Winston Fujimori for 5 says, Josh, you run an information and discussion site and you lied to us. 3 red flags about Ollie London. 1, he's British. 2, he's homosexual. 3, he's the guy who once described himself as transracial and identified as Korean. French bros stay winning. I did not know he was gay. I will now sideline Ollie Alexander for the... Not Ollie Alexander. Ollie London. I will sideline him for the rest of my life. Thank you for the information. Forgetful Kiwi for 483 says, I wonder why the quote unquote racist Nazi party has risen to the second biggest party in Sweden. Even the AFD is rising in like Germany and shit. I don't know, probably because kids are getting raped and there's Muslims throwing grenades in Sweden, but nothing's going to change. Your vote does not matter and nothing will change ever. Sorry to break it to you. Anonymous for 5 says, wow, so all the worst parts of Scandinavia were imported? Licorice is like the best thing about Scandinavia. That licorice dark chocolate from Finland called like Salmonecki or whatever. That's the good shit. That's tasty. Why are windmills bad? Well, Anonymous for 5 says, wow, so wait, I already read that. Haku Riku for 5 says, even in Canada, nature is healing. Inshallah, the jihad prevails. And there's a link to a tour website called the Kiwi Farms. You may not have heard of that. And we'll try to open this timely way. Josh Morgan says, this is unacceptable and extremely upsetting, especially for members of the LGBT2S plus community. 2S being two-spirit. Please know that thousands upon thousands of Londoners stand and support you, including myself. You matter and you belong. Hashtag id not. And that means London, Canada, or yeah, London, Canada, not London. Whatever the fuck. Okay, hold up. Let me try to get this video playing.
Oh! Yo, take it off! Take it off! Hey! Oh! Oh! Damn! Oh! Yeah.
You know what's really funny about this?
Put it in the garbage! Put it in the garbage!
Well, he's foreign too. You know what's really funny about that is well, you can't see. Look, okay, just real quick. Sorry. He just yanks it off. There you go. One more time. Boing, gone. What's really funny about that is Keffel's hometown is London, Canada. So the Keffel's the Kiwi Farm the Kiwi Farm's Middle Eastern Canadian division is rising up, recruiting, growing more influential and powerful. Thank you. Retard for 20 says, I promise to keep our parasocial relationship strong. Thank you very much, Retard. You're my favorite super chatter. Ace of Spencer 5 says, it's basically the same reason I throw money at you. I don't know what that's in response to. Did I say something about parasocial relationships again? And people are like, that's why I throw money at you. You're my favorite super chatter, Ace of Spence. Nick Gurris for 5 says, I can't wait for Soyjack.party to dox, rape, and kill the Chuddy Avatar guy for using their memes. I don't know if I can co-sign that. Hopefully nobody gets doxed, raped, and killed by the weirdos from the Soyjack party. Hostile God Professor says, rising interest rates are going to further slaughter streaming as a career. Total e-grift or death the day the job application looms. I hope not. I don't know what kind of job I can get around here. I'm not looking forward to that. I don't know if cyberbully has many career prospects outside the field. Why I hate the Swedish for 5 says, the etymology of the word cuck is as a political pejorative came from Sweden letting in rape refugees and becoming the rape capital of the West with the third highest rape rate in the world. The insult's implication was that they wanted their wives to be raped. That is not true. The cuck thing started during Gamergate because there was an actual cuckold who was anti-Gamergate. And when the Gamergate people found out, they bullied him mercilessly for it. And then it became like a catch-all for everything. Everything starts in Gamergate, my boy. Dong Johnson for 25 says, have my schneckles, Josh. Thank you very much. I will take your shekels. Appreciate it. Dead Zone the Cuck for 5 says, if you have a problem breathing the air in a big gay apple of New York City, head on down to the gay store to get your penis-shaped air purifier. Fits comfortably in your mouth and will keep you breathing and sucking all day while supplies last. Well, I'm glad you finally described what's actually in the gay store. Now it makes sense. There's a host of oral air purifiers to allow New Yorkers to breathe, despite Canada being on fire. Good to know. Snigger for 5 says, you're correct about the supplement stuff. I know bodybuilders, and these people switch supplements every couple of months because something gets made illegal. Sometimes the new supplement is hardly different from the original. They're a tenacious bunch. Well, the issue that the government has is that they outlaw like specific formulations, and then they just reformulate it so like the molecule is just a little bit different, but it's the same fucking thing, and it's just legally different. That was what happened with bath salts. The government kept trying to ban bath salts, but they kept making them a little bit different. The horse speeder for 10 says, I can assure you, Josh, there are no pride emojis on the Polish version of YouTube. Really? Okay, I want to check that real quick. I don't believe you. That's like you. So you don't even see them? No, let me check. Hold up. I'm putting my own stream. Okay, it's muted. Okay, great. Okay, switching over. Testing the chat. Chat's not loading on this, so I don't know if. Oh, there it is. Okay, so new emotes. I see them. I'm gonna switch over to Poland real quick. I don't know. I'm in Warsaw. It might still be paused. And let's see. Oh my God, they don't show up if you're using a Polish VPN. That is so funny. I still see them in chat. I just can't use them. So Polish people are not allowed to show LGBTQIA2S plus pride, P plus pride. But they do have to endure it, which is pretty funny. That's great. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Roxanne Wolf for 5 says, bark, bark. HRT did to the nerd community what crack did to the neighbor community. Thanks, CIA. It's true. That's a... It wiped it all out. You can't enjoy your SCPs or your Battle Max or your animes or anything. It's all ruined forever now. Sorry to say. Molester for 5 says, hey, I asked about the replacement coin enclosure last stream. Got them in the mail yesterday. And thanks for the tip. The old one was just scuffed from age. Also, F the British. I'm glad you found it. They're pretty easy to get. And yes, F the British. I agree. Thank you. Justice Berg for 10 says, hello again. Please play 20 seconds of the song from the timestamp. It will take weeks, but I will not rest until the song is played to completion. You got it, my boy. As agreed upon. Here you go. 20 seconds of Justice Weathers and Nazareth, starting from 20 seconds. Oh, what a cliffhanger. It just starts to pick up. I guess next stream we'll hear more of it. Now that I've become a master of the parasocial, and I can get people to pay me to play music. Fortnite Master for War 43 for 5 says, Josh, I want to become a big time e-celeb and have a legion of cult-like fans who will turn everything I say into a meme, kind of like Sam Hyde. What do you recommend to achieve this? What type of show or content should I make? Has to be something new. I mean, generally people make content about people they like. You should be funny first, and then the rest just kind of follows through. And I think people make so much content about Sam Hyde because he is so aloof and like unpredictable. It's harder to get like a reaction out of him. Then again, I don't know. Look at Jerma. I don't know anything about him, but he's not like a Sam Hyde guy. I don't know what his secret is. Not Much for 5 says, a friend told me there's a growing group of online incels who are doing something called transmaxing, where they're truning out but not actually doing surgeries or HIT to reap the social benefits of being a troon. It's splintering online troon groups too. Cool. I mean, obviously people are going to exploit the fuck out of it because it's like free money. Why wouldn't they? I wish them luck in destroying everything. I Man Asshole for 15 says, I have body gender dysmorphia. What do I do? Should I accept my life for what it is and try to become comfortable with my own body despite its flaws, or should I endlessly pursue an impossible to attain standard and worsen my self-esteem issues even further? Okay, before you do anything, all right, before you do anything at all, just try not being like a retard for like a couple weeks. Work out, eat correctly, bathe every day, stop looking at porn, stop smoking weed, get off your SSRIs, stop drinking. Just do that for like a month and then see if you're still like a retard at the end of it. If you haven't tried to like not be retarded at first, don't be like, what should I do? Should I cut my tits off or whatever? Should I carve out a manhole in my crotch. Like, have you tried anything? Have you tried literally anything at this point besides wearing a binder and dressing differently? Like, try literally anything first, and then if that doesn't work, then you have my permission to mutilate yourself and do whatever the fuck you want. Go swimming, yeah. Good luck. Anonymous for 483 says you should do a stream with Kea Orson. He's a co-host of The Friend of Critical, but he talks a lot on his show about free speech and censorship, not shittership. You should also talk about Ralph Lauer. I know of him. He followed my Twitter account when I still had a Twitter account. He was the person with the most followers. He was a blue check mark is why I remember this, because he was one of the only blue check marks that followed our Twitter account. Yeah, if he wants to talk, I'll probably be up for that. More so than Leafy. Mike Hawk is smelly for 5 says, I'm a wizard and I will share a magic spell for you. First, recite this incantation. Tutu Ru. Now wait a moment and look at chat. Congratulations, with his magic spell, you can now instantly spot all the gay people in chat. Tutu Ru? What the fuck is a Tutu Ru? Is it like an anime thing? What? Oh, is it an anime thing? Oh, cringe. I was processing it before I read it and I thought, well, it doesn't sound, it sounds like a song, like a bippity boppity boo, like a little line from that, but now I know it's an anime thing. That's cringe. Anonymous for 5 says, are you sure this will get people interested in SCP? SCP question mark. Very true. He just went to masturbate. And he has accomplished that probably many times with the money that people gave him. Question mark for 43 says, I'm gay for Cecil McFly. I think he's really handsome. He does have nice long ears. If you're an earophile, I guess that works out. Ronberger for 5 says, Dark City is a 1998 neo-noir science fiction film directed by Alex Proyas and starring Kiefer Sutherland and Jennifer Connelly, which paved the way for enlightened heroism a year before. The Matrix and Neo popularized it. Do you know the way to Shell Beach? My dude, I have not a fucking clue what you're even talking about. I imagine that's like a movie. That's like a cult classic with a bunch of weirdos. We're like, actually, this is the one that really kicked off the Batman thing before the Batman movies came out. No, I don't, by the way. Thank you, though. Jim G&A for 5 says, I understand your righteous indignation towards the federal government and its employees, but encouraging your followers to accost their mailman won't lead to meaningful change. You should ask Nancy Pelosi, Des Monger, Baked Alaska for some anti-Fed advice. Why would I ask a Fed? I don't talk to Feds. I already explained this. I mean, what are you supposed to do? Honestly, as long as they can live comfortably, as long as they're still getting laid, as long as they're still able to get married and have children, then they'll continue to think that they're in the right. If women were to be like, I'm not going to fuck you. You work for the federal government. I can't trust you. You would murder my child. You would hang my child by the fucking neck on a meat hook. The moment Joe Biden told you that you'd lose your pension if you wouldn't, the moment that happens, then you're going to start seeing the government collapse, because that's what they're going to do. They're going to have to hire imports. They're going to have to hire Mexicans and black people to run the government. And then what happens when you have a bunch of Mexicans and black people running the government? It collapses. It's over. Goodbye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, federal government. Bye-bye. You don't work anymore. Bye-bye. Like, even like in shitholes like Germany and Sweden, they run their government completely through white people. White people run that place. And when they get fully replaced, it will collapse and nature will heal. But it's not going to work as long as effective individuals are still in government and thinking that they're safe and cozy and shit. Like, I'm sorry, I just can't excuse it. If I had federal government people in my family, I would not want to know them. I would not want to talk to them. I would not want to associate with them. I would not want to have conversations with them, because guess what? When you're talking to your family at Thanksgiving table, you're talking to a member of the government who is still on duty all the time. You tell him, oh, your nice coworker, oh, you know, the FDA, USDA, there's a restaurant down my street that butchers their own cows. What do you think he's going to do? He's going to rat that motherfucker out. That restaurant that butchers their own cows and feeds you healthy meat that they raise themselves, that guy's going to jail now. He's going to be fined $500,000 for violating USDA standards. They're never off duty. They're always looking for the next throat to cut. And if that throat is yours, you're fucking dead. It doesn't matter if they're your husband, even with Lauren Southern. Just never. They're not your fucking friend. They are a part of the apparatus of government, and they will always will be, even if they retire. There's not a good one. There's not a single good one. Fur for 5 says that furry map is deceptive since it's a German website. Cope and Sneed, Deutschland. Cheeky Stinker for 5 says, what's the last time you had hamsters and which kind is your favorite? I have Syrian hamsters, but they kept questioning the legitimacy of Israel as a state and it was making me uncomfortable. Take care, Josh. I don't know what kind I had. It was, I had a long time ago. He looked exactly like one of the Hamsterdam's ones, with like the Hamtaro. Let me look it up real quick. I'm curious now. Golden hamster. Yeah, that's it. A golden hamster. There you go. Sad German for 10 says, unfortunately, German has had an infestation for a long time now. I feel compelled to pay you $10 to watch 30 seconds of this famous German song's music video from 10 years ago. Okay. Oh, geez.
Verpeilt und verschallert, alle verballert, Truff, 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 Truff. Voll Banani, Pille, Palle, alle, Truff, 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 Truff. Voll Banani.
They would have fought to the last man. They would have fought until every German was dead if they knew. The Americans would have fought to the very bitter end. They would have just sat on the shores of D-Day getting shot at. If only they knew. Shores of Normandy, rather. By the way, happy Memorial Day to all of our troops who went out and died for gay sex. Thank you for your sacrifice. Schizosaurus Bex for 1072 says, hey, Jersh, Lord of Schizos, I recently got diagnosed with schizophrenia. It's still in the early phases. I need your advice on how not to fuck up my whole life. Bro, I don't actually have schizophrenia. If I do, I'm not medicated, so I can't give you any advice. You should probably talk to a doctor about how to manage your symptoms so that you don't lose your mind completely. I would advise not having children, though. Sorry. Hit MMORPG EverQuest 2 for 5 says the talking point of supporting a viewpoint puts us in danger. Really brings my piss to a boil. It's the USA. If you're really in danger, then carry. But what they really want to do is sick police on everyone who disagrees with them while jacking off. Dude, back when I was growing up, the internet had freely accessible KKK and like Westboro Baptist Church shit. And, you know, it made people angry. But we set back, and what we actually said back then was that it's okay that they go on the internet and they say whatever they say because it's their right, and we just ignore them. And you can see how hateful and insipid they are, and the mean, awful shit that they say, and it's like nobody wants to be like that. And it was true. And nowadays, as we continue to try and censor people and malign them, they create sympathies for their causes. It's like it no longer looks like they're just some fringe lunatic who are upset at that society is peaceful and happy. It's like society sucks now, and we're victimizing them, which creates sympathies. It really doesn't make any sense. It almost feels deliberately set up to try and create like resistance to society. The way that they're actively going after them. But I don't think they're that clever. Dong Johnson for 25 says there's like 3 groups that you can fit any furry into: tranny, pedo, autist, and people who know it's a weird fetish. Yeah, basically. There's also Nazis. I guess that would be autists, though. That's about right. The Doge of Venice for 25 says, let's get Pride before fall going, hopefully before June ends. I want to know what I'm buying. Okay. Sorry, I haven't had much opportunity to work on that. I got distracted by other shit related to the main site going back up. I don't know where to host it is the issue. I'm waiting on something before, like in regards to that, before I can put it back up. But it is on, if you go to getgood.io/jcmoon/pride- or just go to jcmoon and type that in. You'll see my list of repositories, and then one of them is Pride Before Fall. And if you would like to contribute to that, go ahead. I will probably merge it. Especially if you know a lot about Hugo. I'm using a Go software suite for building static sites called Hugo, and if you know how that works, get in touch. There's a thread for it on the Kiwi Farms too. Winston Fujimori for 5 says, it wasn't just Ronald Reagan. Ted Kennedy also championed repealing laws requiring mentally ill people to be put in facilities until they get better. Now crazy people can't be forced to go into mental hospitals if they don't want to go. Well, I don't know too much about Ted Kennedy. I think he was a senator at that time. But I can blame Ronald Reagan the most because his wife was the champion of it. Jet Seth Radio for 5 says, I've been binging Old Maddie for about a month now to get through the work week, and it's been very entertaining. A while ago, you mentioned Ween. You said you heard their whole discography. I was wondering what your favorite album was. Keep Sneeding King. I want to say Quebec. Quebec springs to mind as being a particularly good one. I mean, all their albums are pretty good. The Chili Pepper one, I don't know what that was called, was pretty good. And I like the one that Ocean Man is on. I think that's a single though. But they're crazy good. Like their whole discography is extremely versatile and enjoyable. And they also sang the shoe tying song for SpongeBob. Like they're a great group. Sorry. Okay, I just lost my voice. Perturabo, Lord of Iron for 10 says, hey Josh, I haven't been able to send Dosh because I feel off my stilts at work. If you want fags that ruin entertainment, check out Lancer RPG Community. You can't even joke about committing war crimes or other unsavory activities while in game. Yeah, that wouldn't fly in places like the Hearts of Iron 4 community. War crimes make up the majority of the memes. Amount of water is the issue. I can't wet my tongue. But yeah, they fucked up like every online community. They're all ruined. Qualia Dante for 5 says, go Vito Chew, go out and advocate pedophilia to the extreme. I will. Thank you, Dax. Basically, that's how the situation is. However, Dom counteracts your statement. He directly challenges Qualia Dante and says, wish you weren't such a fag about dick. Whatever, though, I like both of your shows and will continue to. Well, you don't have to pick sides. I just don't want to associate with Dick because he's like actively involved in really skeevy shit, and I just don't have an interest in it. So when that shit collapses, I want to be 3 years out of the loop at that point. The president of Nintendo for 5 says, Josh, John, James Moon, Potter, Jingleheimer, Schmidt. Fun fact, Nintendo employs more uncles than any other employer on the planet. I have to catch the stream later, but I'm busy harvesting Nintendos and the Nintendo mines. T&D, total Nintendo domination forever. I did not know that Nintendo employed more uncles. That's a very strange statistic. I don't know if that's true or not. That sounds made up. Thank you, though. Sir Marhouse for 5 says, Adam Rickover, father of the nuclear navy, once asked a candidate for the submarine fleet if he would leave his wife and kids to join the program. The candidate said yes, and Rickover called him disloyal and removed him from the program, LOL. Well, they don't do that shit anymore. I'll tell you what. If the answer is no, you don't get on. You get put in middle management. You get to touch papers for the rest of your life. Winston Fujimori for 5 says, I wanted to say something. I initially was skeptical about the Mr. Girl person, and I first thought that calling himself a pedo was a form of ironic humor. But after seeing a bunch of things about the guy, I'm now convinced that he is 100% insane and probably pedo. Nobody jokes about being a pedophile. He is a pedophile. He says he's a pedophile. I believe him. Nobody should believe otherwise. Just the way it is. Same with Vito. Anonymous for 5 says, Ralph deleting all his tweets is truly like the burning of the Library of Alexandria. What a loss to humanity. Well, he made a statement saying that he would rather die than delete his tweets, and he did delete his tweets. So I assume that death is the next thing for him. Research purposes mostly for 5 says, have you seen the interview Big Tech did with Buck Angel? Genuinely worth your time. Also, Matt Jarbo meant the last time Ralph and Matt Jarbo did a stream together did not go well for him, referencing when Ralph ran away like a bitch from Matt. Oh, I forgot about that. You're right. No, I did not see that. I'm not really interested in listening to Big Tech. That's funny. Ralph is underfoot from even Matt Jarbo. I thought that he was the last person not to epically own Ralph, but Ralph is afraid of him now. Sneed Chad for 20 says, Josh, I may have had a child of mine get scraped out of some BPD chick's pussy and put into a biohazard waste bin. I came balls deep in her after she lied about birth control and then about taking Plan B. I should have listened about what you say about BPD girls. Yeah. You should have. That's really yeah. You listen to me more often in general. I will not lead you astray, I promise. B for 5 says, can you make some cute pink merch? I want a cute dog sweater that also supports the podcast. Keep up the good work. We're rooting for you. Sure. I can maybe do pink. I usually try to keep them a little bit neutral so that men and women can wear them, but maybe. OG Pay More Homie for 10 says, hey Josh, read this. Shut yo pasty ass chicken bone, Google Chrome, flip phone, disown, cream cone, garden gnome, extra chromosome, dimmadome, gene gnome, full blown, monochrome, student loan, Indiana Jones, friend zone, Sylvester Stallone, head ass up boy. There you go. I hope that was worth it for you, my friend. I think I did pretty well. Mr. Man for 2145 says, no, that's a fabled British spirit of innovation and perseverance. Just when you think you can't hate them any more than you already do, they reveal this atrocity and top themselves once more. Yeah. They defy belief in how fucking terrible their country is every time I read an update about them. It sucks that it's hit so close to home this time, too. A true and honest user of the Kiwi Farms. Billy Evans for 5 says, hey Josh, I wanted to elaborate for the SCP fellow with the broken ass. My wife also has a broken ass. It does not self-lubricate like my ex-girlfriend's did. It can cause a lot of discomfort and pain, and I hope he gets better soon. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and I really don't want to know. I'm sorry to hear about that. I'm glad that happened, if it's a good thing. Offending Manager for 20 says, girl, I just got my nails did. Short clip of the fight between Ralph and Jarbo. Okay. Oh no. I can't believe he got bouldered. I can't believe Ralph is fucking dead. I can't believe Mundane Matt killed Ethan Ralph. Totally murdered him. We all saw it coming, but it just doesn't feel real still. No One Important 818 says for 10, say someone is trying to make a documentary on the Kiwi Farms. What are 5 primary sources to consult? P.S. Your decennial stream was shit for this. The Kiwi Farms. Everybody else just lies. Just browse the fucking site, my dude. If you need something specific, you can probably post and ask for it, but people will probably bully you for trying to be like a journalist. Sorry I can't be more help, but yeah, it's just the site. Francis E. Deck for 5 says, in 1965, LGBTQIA+ gangster police beat me bloody, dragged me in chains from Kennedy, New York airport. Well, at least you could breathe back then. Yes, I know it's a Francis E. Deck reference. Someone synthesized that voice to be like AI, and I want to use that for everything now. Maybe for I don't think I can do this, but it would be nice if I could make that like the voice for like super chats over 100 or something. I don't know. That'd probably be too annoying. But I need to harvest this voice and use it for things, because it's great. I Am a Wiener for 9 says, please play Happy Hour by Diodato on the stream after we go ClearNet. I have a song picked out already for that. Maybe though. Happy Hour by Diodato. Okay, maybe. Base History for 10 says, The Jungle is a work of fiction commissioned by the larger meatpacking plants. It created popular pressure for the USDA to inspect all meat at the expense of meatpacking plants. The result was several smaller, very high-quality plants shutting down. I'm sure. It's never a good thing to have government regulate, because what are they going to do? They're going to regulate all food. Soon there will be regulating all the fucking plants too. It'll be illegal to sell a cabbage at a farmer's market unless it's USDA inspected. It's just, you don't want it. Julia Dante Professor says, the Lord Bung thing is sad, but looking back, there were signs the animation started out story-oriented and gradually more time was devoted to the protagonist's millennial awkwardness and lack of purpose or personal identity. And Dude Weed Lamau. Yeah, maybe weed is like a trooning thing. We need to do studies into the association between marijuana and trannies and see what the link is. Winston Fujimori for 5 says, my antivirus subscription is going to expire in a month. What antivirus software do you recommend I buy? I need something I can use for my Android phone. Thanks for telling me in advance. Also, Ghosted, tell me told me to tell you he says hi. Hi, Ghost. As far as antivirus, I don't use any on Windows. I think I use Kaspersky at some point. And you don't really need antivirus for phones. Just don't download weird shit off the fucking internet. It's not that hard. Scurvy Rat for 5 says, how do I achieve true and honest fan on the forums? Free Wolf Tone, he didn't do nothing. $20. Buy crypto. Nothing else will do. Or you can get someone else to do it for you. No one important, not on Super Chats. That's be buy crypto for the site. No one important, 818 for 5 says, wait, his name is what? Top row, far right. And there's a link to an ABC News personal PR tweet. My man is named Nick Kerr. He looks like he chugs soy, and he can't get enough of soy, but his name is Nick Kerr. Shoutouts to my homie Nick Kerr. I hope he's doing well. All the people in the chat saying Nick Kerr. 12-year-old white kids only get killed in COD. Nick Kerr. Anonymous for 5 says, have you heard what happened to an Idahoan high schooler? Then there's a link to Idaho Tribune. News. Here's what you can do to help Travis Lohr, Kellogg student who was banned from graduation after 2 gender statements, says boss rescinded firefighting job offer. Here's what you can do to help Travis Lohr. Oh, he made a tweet or something saying that there are only 2 genders. They banned him from his own graduation, and the firefighting the the fire department revoked like the job offer for him. Oh, he wants to work for the U.S. Forest Service, Coeur d'Alene River Ranger District. So he wants to work for the U.S. Forestry Service, and now he can't because he said there's only 2 genders. Wow, wanting to be a Fed really worked out for him. Even in the base Forestry Service doesn't hurt anyone. Oh no, it can't. You have to be woke to work in forestry. Funny how that works. Funny how it works. How it's every fucking department. Sucks for him, but hopefully he finds a job in private industry and doesn't sell his soul out to the Forestry Service. So he can suck tranny dick if he wants. Then he can be a forester, a ranger. He can suck all the tranny dick in the world if he wants to repent. Gay store representative for 5 says, speaking of parasocial relationships, how about a pair of social butt plugs for your relationship? Down at the gay store, we have the cheapest and download prices on the market for all your gay products and gay services. That makes less sense than the fucking air purifier. I don't know what that means. I don't want to know about that. Thank you, though. Nova for 10 says, can you compare Rekida's fight record to Donkasol and see who is the best fighter? I don't think Rekida's ever been in a fight, unless there's something I'm missing here. TFD for 5 says, base, once a Fed, always a Fed. Even when they retire, they are related hobbies or go back working in a field like politics. It rots their brains and destroys their families like a festering staph infection, or they become contractors and they double dip. Then they get their delicious pension and they work for the government, getting a second line of income despite not being directly employed. Same exact fucking thing. They rip off the fucking government. That's why everyone goes into being a Fed, because then they retire. They get their pension, they get their health care for free for the rest of their lives and for their family. And then they can be a contractor and continue to work until they're really ready to retire and get twice the income at your expense. Ashtroon, devourer of zebra cakes. Zebra cakes are delicious. For 5 says, PPP has made a glorious return and does not have pig hooves. The chemo casino is here to stay. It's tough, buddy. I have not heard about that, so I can't make some snide comment. I apologize. I like your name, though. Anonymous for 10 says, I highly recommend Alexei German's How to Be a God. It's the black and white Russian kino about a group of astronauts that discover an identical Earth stuck in the Dark Ages. They try to start the Renaissance without direct intervention. That sounds cool. I don't know if I'll check it out, though. It does sound cool. It's called Alexei German's Hard to Be a God. For anyone interested. In Russian nonfiction. Or Russian fiction, rather. That didn't actually happen. I have opened Rumble to see if I have. Oh wait, that's Odyssey. Okay, there are no Rumble messages the one time that I actually bothered to keep the live stream open. And then on Odyssey, knives are out for Harambe for 5 says, so I heard you like Mudkips 904. Also, your email doesn't seem to work with Proton Mail. It does indeed. Most certainly does work. Try a different email service if you're not getting read. Rickenbacker for 10 says, okay, here's the Kiwi Farms patch hat. It represents the true meaning of the word Harpo, okay? The Kiwi Farms patch hat is the Harpo Jarvie connection. Only I can have the Kiwi Farms patch hat. I stitch one of the patches to a hat and wear it in public. It's a reference. I get that reference. I appreciate that reference. I'm glad that you managed to acquire such a rare and personal artifact to show off in public. I'm sure that will draw no ire to you whatsoever. Rickenbacker 5 says, also add to the super chat about the trans maxing. I know a guy who said he was trans to get a several $100 scholarship and to get a several $100 scholarship in college. He's a straight Muslim convert with a wife and kids. That's cringe. Islam is cringe. Muhammad's a pedophile. I have a hard time. I know it's like they're trad and shit, but it's like, I don't know. Muhammad's a pedophile. He fucked a 9-year-old. One of the best things about the story of Jesus is that he was completely abstinent in the Bible. So in the history of time, at no point do you look back on Jesus and say, oh, his sexual proclivities were weird, because he didn't have any. Because as opposed to Muhammad, who fucked a 9-year-old and is now a pedophile and is really gross. Food for thought. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. And Driller for 10 says, Deep Rock Season 4 next week. Rock and Stone. Also, I should dip my balls in liquid Morkite. Bro, if you want to dip your balls in liquid Morkite, just do it. Don't fucking film it and put it to YouTube, though. Okay, I'm done. No more. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. I look forward to doing 2 a week so I can save 30 minutes as somehow stream. So now I'm down from 4 hours a week to 6.5. I don't know how I've accomplished this, but maybe I'll find time to shorten things up a little bit. Tuesdays are at 6 p.m. Eastern. 6 p.m. Eastern, midnight EU. Fridays will continue to be at noon Eastern, 6 p.m. Euro. So I have a special song, given the context of everything, and it's by a small producer named Zelinki. And my boy Zelinki, even though I'm pretty sure you're super paused, and even though I am no better than a beast, do not DMCA me. I want to share your music because I actually think it's quite good, even though I'm a monster. So I will see you guys Tuesday. Take it easy. Have a nice weekend. And bye-bye.
Don't worry about God, baby. He's got a plan, it's true. Don't mind about destiny. She's carefree, flirting with uncertainty. The apple knows morality. There's nothing that's in it for you. Don't think about death, honey. The thought alone, it makes you look real funny. Your head heavy and your vision fuzzy. Know what they say, it's keep your eye on the money. Know what they say, it's keep your eye on the prize. Gracefully suffocating all my lies. We're here to love you, gather all around. When you're 6 feet underground. How you like me now? talk about fame and fortune's bidding. It's not appealing, nor is it that fitting. You're more in line with just up and quitting. Frankly, it's all the same. Make your peace, do a sacrificial dance. All your goodwill and intentions never stood a chance. You see the coming and the end.